knew them all. 1 for 1, the deal's done. Bobby Mack let us know. Ryan Stromey lost it twice. Drake from Manning was not nice. 2 good picks, they went for Griff. Pete just had to go. Eric Greiber buyout, what was that all about? Miko signed a 3-year deal, and my friends, that ain't no steal. Traded for Spooner, shoulda canned him sooner. Chris Russell, Lucic, no movement on their deals. Pete left a tire fire. Bobby Nix is searching for the perfect person. Pete left a tire fire. Now it's tough to do well when you're stuck in cap hell.
What is up? How are we this morning? Edmonton and those of you watching all around the world, Dustin Nielson and Lieutenant Eric with cheers, buddy. Good to be back. Good to be back. Yeah, it feels so good. Feels so good. Miss the boys. Miss the boys from a distance. I do like the one guy. I don't know who was in. Maybe it was Joe, but somebody was in and basically said, I don't care about the others anymore. I'm here for Dusty's Grey Cup stories.
Yeah, the boys missed you, and we were kind of debating what stories you'd have. And
yeah. We'll get to it.
To share.
I think it's really nice for me to come back after a trip to the Grey Cup. And I will say the Hammer, 2 years ago, it was tough coming out of COVID. That was a tough Grey Cup. You're like, man, this wasn't a very good time. And it wasn't. I mean, it was all different, obviously. But, man, Hamilton knocked it out. Hamilton is still a tough, rough town. Like, Hamilton's the hardest Canadian town that I've ever been in. But they put on an absolutely wonderful show. It was great. I mean, the game, you can't even get better than the game. The game was absolutely bonkers. And Green Day was great. The buzz around the city was great. The festival place where all like the teams had their parties was great. Spirit of Edmonton was outstanding. It was awesome.
Not much to complain about from the cynic, hey, that usually likes to pop up around Grey Cup time.
It's funny because people all year, try to take shots at the league, but if they ever just went to one Grey Cup, they would never say a bad thing about the Canadian Football League ever again because it's just absolutely amazing.
Good TV numbers. You had a good time Saturday. You made lots of new friends. Saw some old ones, but made some new ones as well, I'd say, along the way.
It was a lot of fun. You know who was actually, I thought, the star of the Grey Cup for me this weekend? And we'll get into a little bit more during confessions, but not so much on this guy. But Dean Faithful was there.
Yes.
And Dean Faithful, took in Grey Cup like any first-timer would take in Grey Cup. Like, he was
wide-eyed.
He was awesome. He was just loving it. He was. I caught up with him 2 nights. I saw him at Spirit of Edmonton. Him and Serezna were there on the Friday night. I popped down. And then on Saturday, met up with Huss, a couple of guys from TSM. We popped over to the big area where all the other team parties were, and we went in the Lions Den. It was just rocking, which got me really excited for Vancouver hosting a Grey Cup next year with the party that they had at the Lions Den this year, like on a road Grey Cup. Very excited about what they might be able to bring to the table next year. Anyway, Dean, my 2 worlds colliding. As my all-time favorite CFL kicker, Sean White, is standing there having a drink with our current favorite CFL kicker, Dean Faithful. I was just like, what is this? So I hung out with Whitey and Faithful for a while, and then Dean came over and chatted, and we were talking, and he's like, Dusty, and I know we'll be able to find them. I haven't tweeted it out yet, but he's like, at one point this season, somebody held up a big sign that said, God save the Dean. And it wasn't even God save the Queen. It was God save the Dean because of the wave. I was just like, man, you are the best. And I know they're familiar looking faces. And they might even be watching the show or listening to the show at a later time. But I think Dean Faithful would like to get his hands on that sign. God save the Dean. And if he doesn't want to, I want to get our hands on that sign because that's something we could put up here. Yeah, it just looked awesome.
Yeah, and I think he was tweeting out a few times over the weekend. I think he watched the Alouettes hoist the cup, and he said he wants to. This is, as you say, it just takes one time, one Grey Cup, and it sucks you in, and he's bought it.
Buddy, I'll read you the text. So I get home yesterday. We're at basketball with Marshall last night, and he texts me at 5:00 last night. Goes, "How was your weekend, mate?" I'm just like, it was a good time, man. It was a fun game to call. He goes, yeah, it was an exciting one to watch. And I said, Grey Cup week is awesome, isn't it? He goes, yeah, I loved it. Good to see what it's all about, to start manifesting being there as a player one day. You know, like,
he doesn't want it to be over.
No, like Dean Faithful is probably still in Hamilton just being like, but he was good. He was talking about, he said in the offseason there's a place down in California where a lot of the NFL kickers go and train. And he was thinking of heading down there and doing that. But then he also said he's been trying to connect with all the CFL kickers and being like, why don't we all go to Vancouver together and train for part of the offseason, which I thought it's a great initiative for a guy who's a rookie who comes in his mid-30s, and he's trying to get guys together to go out to Vancouver to kick in the offseason.
I think for some people, the C in the CFL stands for camaraderie. I mean, you found that out on the weekend, obviously, with the Grey Cup and the fan bases, but that'd be pretty cool for Dean Faithful to assemble the Legion of Kickers, hey?
Yeah.
Train out on the coast. I don't mind that at all.
Great. The Sailor is in. It says, Dusty, did you stay at the Sheraton Jackson Square? If you did, you must have seen some characters. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Does that mean something to you?
We stayed at the Sheraton. Like I said, Hammer's a tough town. So Spirit of Edmonton was like, I don't know. And we'll get to the hockey game. I got a few things to say about this, obviously. Basically, the rest of the 6 o'clock hour is just going to be one big post-game show. But we're staying at the Sheraton. I'm having a couple of drinks. And I told Haraxi, I said, I'm going to come down to Spirit of Edmonton, obviously. And it was like a $7 cab ride. So I was just going to walk it. I was like, whatever, it's not that far. I walked it 2 years ago. So I go to get up and walk it. And Dunnigan goes, where are you going, Dusty? I said, well, I'm going to go down to Spirit of Edmonton. He goes, where is it? I said, it's like 10-minute walk down the hill here. He goes, 10 minutes? Get a cab. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, if you have to go anywhere for more than 10 minutes on a walk in Hamilton, get a cab. So I got a cab. But like the Hammer's a tough town, man. It's
hard in the Hammer.
Yeah, it is. Especially kind of downtownish. It's like I didn't really want to walk. I walked to get some pizza on like late Friday afternoon, and there was a guy that creeped me out so much I crossed the street and then snuck back. And I'm
you're a city guy
I'm 6'5". I look like an offensive lineman, and I was still like, I'm not going to deal with this right now. So I crossed the street, went over the other way, then crossed it back to get the pizza. So. Yeah.
Urban Dusty, alive and well in the Hammer.
Oh, like I can't even handle downtown Hamilton. Like I can't do downtowns. Wait until the Grey Cup in Vancouver. It's going to be a mess. My God. But yeah, no, it was a really good time. Overall, I thought Hamilton put on an absolutely outstanding Grey Cup. Green Day, I thought was, I don't know, did you guys have Rashad on yesterday?
Yeah.
Did he break down the halftime show at all?
No. Oh, damn. He was more, he was showing off how he could play his intro because we didn't have the music. So he took it upon himself to play his intro. He was very proud of that.
The bottom line is Ryan Rashad might be the best tech wizard in the city. Simple as that.
If not he, then whom?
Let's stop denying it. Let's just embrace it.
Green Day, Shaggy, Carrie Underwood, any of the auxiliary performances that you...
Well, I didn't make it to either of those shows. Okay. And it was tough.
You were working.
Because, well, no. I really wanted to go to Shaggy. Okay, so let me just quickly bring you up to speed on these stories. Then we'll get into the Oilers. It's time to just admit it. They're a bad hockey team. This is not a funk. The Oilers are a bad hockey team. It's as simple as that. That's a tease for what's coming up. So Friday, actually, Niagara's beautiful. It was incredible.
We thought you were like a circus animal. You caged. When we talked to you Thursday morning, you're like caged in this Niagara hotel. Everybody's at the media party the night before. We're like, come on.
I guess I was kind of like a circus animal, Eric. But yeah, so I went for a walk along. Anyway, it was good. The award show was great. And then after, I was with my boss from TSN, and we were going to go to Shaggy. We walked up to like the entrance of the Shaggy concert, and then somebody's like, Shaggy's not going to be on for about 40 minutes. So we're like, oh, well, let's just go for a drink. So we roll into the bar in the hotel to go for a drink. And Caperness and Stiegel and Dunnigan are sitting there, so we kind of saddle up with them. And within 20 minutes, there's like a table of 12. And I'm sitting there with one of our producers, and I was like, I don't think we're getting to the Shaggy concert. Like, because you kind of settled in. It was a good time. The Ticats were having like an alumni party. So we were about, I don't know, a 60-second walk from Shaggy. Missed that concert. And then I had a ticket to Carrie Underwood, but I didn't. Like, none of the guys that I was close with were going to Carrie Underwood. So I ended up just going down to Spirit of Edmonton and meeting Huss instead.
Just right away.
So I missed a couple of shows I would have liked to gone to, but I thought Green Day killed it. I thought it was fun seeing Green Day out there, man.
They hit. You can't do much in those brief moments. Hey, I think they had a good song, like a little bit of new, a little bit old. There was nothing, no wardrobe malfunctions. Like everything went off perfectly. So
yeah. I thought
it was just a good halftime. Yeah,
smooth. And now I cannot wait to see, and we'll get to it a little bit later on. I've already seen it come in here for 3 questions, but I can't wait to see what Amar Doman does next year.
That's just it.
Because the BC Lions, they're not going to mess around for a Grey Cup.
Swift is in town in and around Grey Cup next year in Vancouver, apparently. There's like a week window.
Can you imagine that?
Well, I can.
Mike, the Michigan fan, texting in. Paris Jewelers inbox. That's where you can get it. 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. 'Tis the season to buy jewelry for your loved ones. Get it done at Paris Jewelers. Mike, the Michigan fan. Airport breakfast before the flight to Detroit. Go Blue. Go Lions. Mike, the Michigan fan. He's got a Caesar and a beer. Do you think those are both for him, or is he traveling with somebody and one of them is drinking a beer, one of them is drinking a Caesar?
One's for the Lions, one's for the Wolverines, maybe. Hey, that could be the
you think
that's the play here.
You think that's what
Huge
it is?
Huge weekend in Michigan football with the Lions on Thursday and then the Wolverines and Buckeyes on your Saturday morning. Too conscious.
Yeah. Well, why not? Let's do that this morning, eh? How about this today? What's it? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. What do you got?
That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
Send us your Tombstone Tuesday text. That is a hell of a thing for you to say to
Happy
me.
Tombstone Tuesday. I like how Creed's just popped, and now we're like, Tombstone Tuesday.
Well, once we find a way to somehow play Creed on the show again, then, but, as far as losing Creed but mixing in Doc Holliday on a regular basis, arguably the greatest character in movie history, I think we could have done worse.
Yeah.
I think we could have done worse. Look, your thoughts on the road trip. Remember, it's a road trip to save the season because they were coming in so hot, beating two awful hockey teams 3 times. Your thoughts on the road trip, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, and we will get into that. Nasty Chat has just been absolutely rocking all morning long. Are we ready to just admit that this is a bad hockey team? Getting a playoff spot in the division is out of the conversation. They're not catching the Kings. They're not catching the Canucks. They're not catching the Golden Knights. If you want to clip this and send it to me in late March when they do, go ahead. It's not going to change my opinion of what this team looks like right now. They could certainly be in the mix for a wild card spot because guess what? Outside of the top 6 or 7 teams in the conference, I really don't have faith in pretty much anybody else. So they're still in the mix for a playoff spot. And as people say, all you got to do is get to the dance. With that being said, when you get to the dance, if you can't beat good teams along the way this year, you're certainly not going to win a playoff series. The Oilers have 5 wins this season. 5 wins. Calgary, they suck. Nashville, not very good. Seattle, no good. Seattle again, no good. New York Islanders, no good. That's it. It is November 21st this morning. November 21st. Your Edmonton Oilers, who were supposed to be a Stanley Cup contender, have 5 wins, and not one of them is against a team that would be in the playoffs if the playoffs started today. I think it's time to stop saying this is a funk. I think this is time to stop saying that, they'll get out of it. A heater is on the way. I think it's time to stop saying that after winning 3 games against bad teams that the rest of the league needs to be concerned that the Oilers are coming alive, because they're not. The Edmonton Oilers, they're probably a really bad team. At this point, I think I'd still sound like a bit of a homer to say I think they're just sort of a middle-of-the-pack team. That's kind of what we've seen from the Edmonton Oilers so far, and I thought last night was a perfect example of it, Rick. And we'll get into your morning after show and everything. I'm going to lay out the rest of the show for you here as well. But how do you blow these leads? As a National Hockey League team, how can you consistently get good starts and then absolutely piss your pants the rest of the way?
Well, what are they? And last year you had 2 out-of-this-world seasons. You had a power play that's put on the shelf and not to be touched again. So all of that kind of falls back down to earth somewhat. And then the issues that have always been there continue to exist. So, a lot of people predicting a cup parade, but this is where it's at. And as you say, I don't foresee it getting any better at this point. I don't know what two-goal leads blown now. You can't play against teams that are, perceived better than you or higher than you or whatever the case is. And you're middling. And as we talked just before we went to air, you are closer to that basement cellar now than you are to the, to flying off the ceiling. This is, I don't see it. there'll be a few wins along the way, like a streak here or there. But we said too, when you have this slump to start the season, you have to go at a what 650.
Yeah, it's something like they got to win and again, 45 games.
Last year was that year, right? that last year was when they were doing everything above board, and this is historic and unprecedented. And I just don't see it this year from that group. They don't have the depth. The goaltending is questionable at best sometimes, and the defense is still where it's at. So, aside from 97 and 29 carrying things and shouldering things for you, which, again, Connor McDavid, 2 goals again, probably playing a little hurt maybe again after going to the board. But these are all things that happen to teams. And I think last year with everything going so right, this is now just a fall from grace in that sense. And boy, is it a fall. It's a thud. You're a point up on the Blackhawks right now. It's
if the NHL draft was today, they'd be picking third. If Bob McKenzie was still a regular guest, he would say very, very rarely does anything significantly change beyond American Thanksgiving. His thing was always, that's who you are by then. I think if there was going to be an exception to the rule, maybe it would be a team with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Always has to be in there, yeah.
But right now, reality check, they are closer to the San Jose Sharks than they are the rest of the Pacific Division. And that's why you have to wonder now, is this I guess I'm asking Oilers fans this morning. If you're in the nasty chat, if you're listening online on TuneIn or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you can obviously text us at 780-218-9999. But are they just a bad team? Or is this just a prolonged funk? Because I think the real answer, it's such a lame answer. It's probably somewhere in the middle. However, through the first 4 weeks of the season, I would have said it's just a funk. They're going to come out of it. But wins over Seattle, the Islanders, and then basically having to steal one and get lucky against the Kraken again, that has not done anything to change my opinion of what did I tell you guys when I joined you? When did I join you? Thursday morning?
Correct, yes.
And you guys,
it's
everybody's loving life.
Different world, yeah.
And I know people are like, Dusty's a heel. He's coming in this morning and saying they got to beat somebody good before you can believe in them. But they have to. Go out and win. Good teams see the Oilers and know, we can take it to these guys. It's happened all season. It literally has not happened this season. So, I'm curious where Oilers fans come out on this. Are you ready to just admit that this is a bad hockey team this year? Or are you still sitting there going, there's an issue here that they can sort out. There's an issue here that they can sort out. They're still going to be fine. And at this point, fine would be to sneak into a wild card spot. That's basically it.
Chip in a chair. A chip in a chair.
God, chip in a chair.
But outside of the McDavid penalty shot, again, you have 2 goals coming early in the game, right?
Yeah.
Much like, and this is now this is a bit of a trend or a pattern here. So, yes, you can see a little something, and perhaps McDavid could drag them out and win 3 in a row here or there, but overall, you just don't see this thing coming together in terms of getting a wild card spot at this point.
Vegas Golden Knights, 28 points, top of the Pacific. Vancouver Canucks, 27 points, second in the Pacific. Los Angeles Kings actually have 2 games in hand on the Canucks and the Golden Knights and are just 2 and 3 points back. They actually have a winning percentage that's better than Vancouver, just shy of Vegas. They're 11-3-3. They have 3 regulation losses so far this year. They got 25 points. Those are your 3 teams that will be in the 3 playoff spots. That's it. Vegas, Vancouver, Los Angeles. Then you've got the bunch of teams that just aren't very good. Seattle Kraken have won 7 of their 20 games. Think about this. The Kraken have won 7 games this season and have an 8-point advantage on the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the Oilers, I think, have 3 games in hand on them. And they've beaten them twice.
Okay, well, that's...
So, yay. The Ducks have 18 points. They're 500. The Flames have had an awful start to the season, and I think Oilers fans would be mocking them relentlessly if the Flames weren't also 6 points up on the Oilers right now. 5-11-1 start. They cannot beat good hockey teams. They can play with good hockey teams for stretches, but they cannot beat good hockey teams. And that's not even an exaggeration because it's November 21st and they literally haven't beaten a good hockey team yet. So, once again, 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. Get in the mix in the Paris Jewelers inbox. Could end up winning a gift certificate to A&W for text of the day. And you know what? Especially after a loss, you know what gets you in the morning? Go get yourself a sausage and egger, bacon and egger, maybe a little latte, maybe a tea. I got the tea today, peppermint tea, and this tea is hitting. This is good tea right now today. But go cheer yourself up at A&W, right?
You owe yourself one. Mm-hmm. Get the big one. Double it up, whatever it is. Right?
That sounds real nice.
Yeah, more, extra. Yeah.
No, treat yourself.
Yeah, the Oilers have done this to you. You deserve better.
Post-game show last night, people were fired up. We're going to hear from Connor McDavid, and we're going to hear from Chris Knobloch, the Golden Bear, the Golden Boy. We're going to hear from both those guys during the during your morning after show. We'll get into that as we work our way through the show.
Just feel bad for that son of a B2.
Well, I said it when they hired him. I said I somehow feel sorry for both the coach they're firing and the coach that they're hiring.
It's a weird spot to be in.
I hopped in on the postgame show last night and laid it out. Like, when your organization is run dysfunctionally, you should expect dysfunctional results. It's as simple as that.
Trademark
like
that one.
last year, the last couple of years, it looked pretty good. Well, they had a guy who was your dedicated general manager who, as I said weeks ago, if they were going to fire Jay Woodcroft, they should have fired Ken Holland. I saw people last night in the postgame show saying they have to fire Ken Holland. No, here's the point, guys. Here's the issue.
He is fired.
Here's the issue. He is.
He's just hanging around.
The organization is so dysfunctional that we're not even really sure what Ken Holland does here. Right? So firing Ken Holland at this point, when you could have blown him out when you changed the coach, instead you trotted him out there and make it act like it was his decision when it clearly wasn't his decision. The organization is so dysfunctional that they're beyond the point of even being able to fire Ken Holland because they probably already take all of his power away and they just continue to pay him anyway. So I don't understand the cries for Ken Holland to be fired now. I mean, I understand the cries for Ken Holland to be fired for the last 12 to 18 months, of course. But now, I mean, spoiler alert, he's probably not even the real GM. So, let Paul Coffey and Jeff Jackson make the decisions. Of course, Paul Coffey being on the bench, obviously turning around things with Bouchard. And, we'll see how it goes. But that's how dysfunctional it is. And when an organization has no clue what's going on up here, how's it supposed to come out properly down here? I'm like moving my finger around in big circles.
Well, it's coming out down here in a
it's coming out down there. That's for sure.
Sure is coming out.
Okay, let me lay the show out for you. Then we'll get into your morning after show. I'm playing the 6 o'clocker song here at some point too.
Yeah, you got to
feel
get back
like
in your
I feel
good
like
grace.
we hammer our way through the mud and the muck of this morning after show, and then we fire it up late in the 6 o'clock hour with the 6 o'clocker song.
Our own Shawshank Redemption. We'll be on an island by 9 o'clock.
So we've got your morning after show coming up here for EM Utility Locating. We're going to hear what Connor McDavid had to say last night. He was angry at one of Specs' questions again. I love the rivalries here.
That was
great.
Twitter was humming last night.
Hear what Knobloch has to say as well. We'll get into the Grey Cup a little bit more here in the 6 o'clock hour. Craig J. Button. He's going to join us coming up just after 7 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts. We got to get into the power play a little bit. It was 32% last year. This year it's 21%. That's a significant decrease in power play efficiency. Yet they're still trying to fire seam passes through the side, all the way through the box to get over to Leon Draisaitl for a one-timer. And pretty much nothing else. So we'll get into that. Also, their PP2 unit, which is a better success rate than the PP1 unit, can't get on the ice anyway. Cool Bet Hotline of the Day coming up here. We will have your weekly confessions for Spectrum Rental. Looking forward to that one. I want to talk a little bit about one of the things that popped up a lot at Grey Cup was the discussion on the Edmonton Oilers. Basically, Rick Lawlisher being brought in to find private ownership for the team.
Oh, I thought you meant the Oilers bringing in Rick Lawlisher to help save them as well now.
You know what? That's probably what they do need. Another figurehead where you're not really sure how he fits in.
Why not?
That would be
add him to the soup.
That would be great. Kind of easy trivia for Mr. Mike's. 3 questions too many for Park Mazda. Joaquin Gage is going to join us. We'll use Gager to get into Pickard's start last night. Of course, everybody does. I mean, many people just say, "Oh, the only thing that's wrong with this team this season is the goaltending." Goaltending hasn't been great. Like, I didn't think Pickard didn't win that game for them last night, but he also didn't lose that game.
It hasn't been great goaltending. They've needed great to kind of paper these cracks. It's been good or average at the best at times, and that's not good enough for the team how it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't paying attention last season, they also didn't really have great goaltending then either. So let's get into your morning after show here.
Being a fan of the Oilers today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to have your say? It's a morning after show where we will talk about the game and let you know who you should blame. You want a show where you will know if the problems are still the same. You want a show every morning after the game. You want a show so people know if the problems are still the same. You want a show every morning after the game.
Still hits, doesn't it? That song still works.
High rotation.
The morning after show brought to you by EM Utility Locating. They might be a little bit jammed up right now trying to get to the bottom of the issues of the Edmonton Oilers. But man, the crew over there, they'll still take care of you. GPR and concrete scanning, damage prevention, planning, design, education, and training. Anytime you have a job to do that requires anything under the surface, EM Utility Locating are the guys for you. Visit them at emutilitylocating.com, emutilitylocating.com. And, maybe you know that there's nothing underneath, but you just want to chat Oilers with some guys. Just book them, come in, be like, we're going over there, dig that up. And you go dig it, okay, dig that up over there. Excuse me, sir, I don't think we're finding anything. Oh, weird, I was really looking for solutions to the Oilers' problems.
It's like golfing, right? I mean, you go to golf, but we all know what happens on the golf course. It's the same. We had the guy come fix the Wi-Fi on Thursday or whatever it was. A nasty.
What a hero.
A nasty. But he
didn't know it.
No, but we just shot the,
Did you tell that story? You must have told that story, eh?
Well, privately. There wasn't much of a story. I mean,
it's kind of a story, but he didn't know that we were doing this.
Oh, no. Yeah, and then so he shows up, and then we got talking. But, no, I mean, it was a job for him. But, again, an opportunity to, discuss the tire fire and all that. So
probably loving that.
Why not? Show up today, and, again, as you say, you don't have to be buying anything. You can maybe get some service. But it's all about yakking about the team right now.
That's what everybody wants to do.
A&W drive-through. You're getting your chicken cruncher. You talk about the team.
Everybody wants to yak.
Everybody wants
to yak about the team. Hey, join us. We will be at Boston Pizza, Kingsway Boston Pizza, tomorrow night. Tommy, pre and post, watch party. And then on Friday, are we doing the watch party here on the couches? Yeah, that's going to be fun.
You want to yak tomorrow?
What a week.
I'll just get a booth by myself tomorrow. And if you want to bitch about it, I'll it's one of those booths, right, where you can just like a stream of consciousness. So you want to get it all off your chest, you come sit in the booth and just have at her.
It's
5 minutes, and then somebody else pops in.
It'd be great if we could set up one of those confession things like in a church where you sit on one side in Boston Pizza in the lounge, even if we have to like warm it up and put it outside on the patio.
Yeah.
You sit out there, and then somebody sits in, and they go, "Hi, Lieutenant Eric. It's blah, 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 from the EM Nasty." You go, "Hello, my son."
Yes.
And then they tell you
all
of
your
their
troubles,
issues and
then
rants.
and you can swear, you can say whatever you want.
And you
I'm
give
all
them
for
3
it.
Hail Marys.
I'll filter you in,
and everything's good to go.
And you'll get a brute.
Edmonton Oilers start, and you get a Boston brew, and then the little,
bless you, my son. Here's a brute.
The door opens in the middle of the confessional thing. You open it up, and then you just slide out a Boston
steaming
brew.
hot brute.
Oh, that'd be pretty good. All right, so the Edmonton Oilers lose to the Florida Panthers despite having a great start. You can't ask for a better start.
No.
Connor McDavid scores from the Leon Draisaitl spot. It was amazing. They go up 1-0. Then you get Evander Kane 2-0. Then a penalty, power play strikes, Verhaeghe 2-1. Then it's 2-2. Then you get McDavid on a penalty shot. And you think, okay, there it is. Connor McDavid, makes it look easy, puts it in, his 6th goal of the year. But then that's not good enough. Then all of a sudden you let the Florida Panthers run off 3 consecutive goals unanswered, and they end up winning at home 5-3. The Oilers' power play 0 for 3 last night. Florida's power play 1 for 4, including that big goal to get them back into the hockey game. Your EST, big moment that happened. What are you looking at, Rick?
Well, an early confession, being as I was at the Centric Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, Centric Casino Fort Road last night for the Chiefs and Eagles. It was one of those nights, and again, we gave the trip away to L.A., busy night, everybody. So you're watching, all the TVs and the games are, and you're like, oh, what happened? Oh, what happened? And you're talking
so much going on.
So I'm going to go with the Stenlund goal to put Florida up 4-3 and up for good. But unless there was anything else that I'm kind of missing, a scorpion save here or there that kind of, didn't get on the score sheet, I'll go with the Stenlund goal, yeah.
There wasn't, I don't think there was too much of significance off of the score sheet from this hockey game last night. The Stenlund goal was a little, man. Well, and we'll hear what McDavid had to say here coming up, and then we'll hear what Knoblich has to say. I want to sort of take some time to dissect what these guys said and then sort of chime in a bit on it. I will go the first goal for the Florida Panthers. If the Oilers, and this is me being a risky boy with the way the season has gone, but if the Oilers get the third goal and go up 3-0, you think at that point, okay, it's done. But Verhaeghe gets them on the board, and then it's like the reverse of that, where Florida gets 1 goal and you go, uh-oh, this is trouble now. Like the Oilers are still leading 2-1, but you go, oh man, this is probably not going to end well. And then, the team plays the same way that everybody is thinking. And then Florida comes back and wins this hockey game. But the Oilers had a 2-0 lead. They had a 3-2 lead. They let them both slip away. We were asking you earlier today, and of course you can text us 780-218-9999 or hit us up in the nasty chat. Are we ready to admit that the Oilers are a bad hockey team, or are they a middling hockey team that has had some bad luck? We'll get into that as well. But let's get into some post-game. Here is the captain of the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid. Let's hear what he said after the game last night.
2-0 lead in the opening 9 minutes. What do you think is misfiring in terms of holding on to that lead?
I don't know. The PKs obviously struggled all year, for a number of different reasons. And, if we can find a way to get a kill and keep it 2-0, find our game back again. But, the momentum seems to turn with that one. And obviously we end up tied 2-2 after one.
What's the hardest thing? Like defensively, you guys are struggling. Offensively, you got a couple tonight, but the power play's struggling. Like, are you better off to try to win this thing 4-1 or try to win it 7-5?
You love this question, but I've answered it so many times. We're trying to keep the puck out of our net, obviously. That's our main focus, and obviously we haven't done that, again, for a number of different reasons. So we're always trying to defend.
When teams are rolling, it seems like they get the puck luck that they need. I mean, you look at the second and third goals against, just unbelievably lucky plays. Is that just kind of demonstrating where this team is at right now?
Yeah, I mean, you can call it luck, but obviously, those are hockey goals, and we got to find a way to score a few ourselves.
You've got some leads. You guys have played a lot of playoff games. You've got an experienced team. Is it hard to figure out where the resiliency has gone? Why, you can't hang on to a lead. You can't grind it out.
There's lots of fight. I don't think the resiliency's gone. I think you're seeing lots of fight. I thought tonight was an emotional game. Could have gone either way again. Obviously we find ourselves on the wrong side, and like everyone keeps saying, we're in the business of winning, and we got to find a way to win.
There you go. That is Connor McDavid, captain of the Edmonton Oilers. Asked in there a little bit about puck luck. It's not the Oilers. I mean, I don't view the Edmonton Oilers as just simply an unlucky team at this point. And I think a lot of people will go, sometimes you can create your own luck, which in some of these situations, like I don't look at the Oilers game last night and go, man, some unlucky bounces, and that's why they lose. Were you supposed to say that for 17 straight games? Come on. This is a team, and I know. So Connor did say in there, and it's one thing, we're interested to see what Knobloch says, but the one thing that he said in there is that they're trying to play defense. Like Spec asked him about, just maybe win game 7-4 instead. And he goes, "No, we're trying." But they aren't. Like, there's just not a group of guys who have the right defensive awareness. It's that simple. Like on the goal, the one that was described as tough luck or whatever there. And it wasn't even on Draisaitl, but it just showed the mindset of it. Draisaitl had the first guy into the zone. And puck got lost, and Draisaitl instantly sort of turned up the boards, as opposed to like just turning and like getting a look at the defensive. I think he thought maybe they'd get it. Now, and then he's out of it, so it doesn't matter about him anymore. When I saw him turn up, I was like, that's just the mindset of this team, is that they want to go. Like, they want to go the other way. And then Bouchard was late getting back into the mix there, and then goes into the front of his net and just takes this wide turn. Like, how often do you see a defenseman go down towards his own net and then do like a wide turn to come back to where there's no proper defensive awareness as individual players, which I think a coach would like to say, well, if they can't really get the grasp of it individually, not all of them, but some key guys who are on the ice for a ton, if you can't get the grasp of it individually, you like to get the grasp of it as a group. And they just never really had that come together either. There's another, the goal where Ekholm was trying to play it up the ice and it hit Hyman in the back. You know what Ekholm was trying to do with that puck? Leon Draisaitl was out behind the Panthers defense, and Ekholm was trying to play a puck straight up the gut and get it in behind the defense. There was now he hit Hyman, and then it's quickly in the back of the net. But even if he doesn't hit Hyman, Draisaitl was still behind the Florida Panthers defender. And I know one of the things Knobloch has talked about, like, push the puck up. But Ekholm was trying to fire a 100-foot pass through Florida Panthers from just outside of his own corner. That's not a let's look after the puck defensive mindset. That's gotta go, get offense mindset. And it continuously keeps coming back to bite this group in the ass, and it has for year after year after year. They can say that they want to play defense, and the coaches can try to get them to play defense, but regardless of the situation, when they don't have the puck, they're thinking offense, and when they do have the puck, they're not thinking of being smart with the puck, they're just thinking offense, get it to the big guns. So until that mindset changes with every single player in the group, it's just going to be a lot of these same results where you've got teams that are not even defensively sound, but aware of the situations. They're going to take advantage of you every single time.
Yeah, when all you need to be is aware of that, and not necessarily sound or top of your, like, just bringing the awareness to the table against this club. That's bad. That's bad, because everybody can do that, and everybody will, and everybody has.
Chris Knobloch, head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Here's what he had to say after the game.
What did you kind of like about the way you got going and started to control the game early on?
Yeah, no, I thought the execution was good. I thought we passed the puck and took the puck to the net. The penalties kind of took away our momentum. They, obviously scored a power play goal, make it 2-1, and another one. I think there was times where we looked like the better team, and obviously they looked like they were better at other times. But we just have to string 60 minutes together.
Your team has lost 5 leads in the last 2 games. You seem unable to defend when it comes time to defend. What do you think you're missing?
Confidence, just playing the right way and not cheating the game. I think we're up 2-0. They need to open up and they need to change the way they're playing to get some opportunities, and we should be able to take advantage of that. But unfortunately, I think we were giving them the opportunities.
You were up 2-0. You looked like you had Florida a little bit on their heels. You get that penalty there on Evander. Did that kind of change things? Carter Verhaeghe scores right there.
Absolutely, 2-0, and they score, and I'm sure the guys are thinking, "Oh, here we go again." But we should have been happy with the lead at 2-1 at that moment, and we just have to, whatever happens, put it behind us and just worry about our next shift.
Chris, puck luck is a very interesting thing. I mean, when you look at the second and third goals against tonight, super unlucky. What does that kind of demonstrate to you in terms of where this team is in terms of earning that puck luck?
Well, yeah, you have to do things right to get the luck, and over the course of a season or a stretch, hopefully it works out. That you get your breaks as long as you're working for them. And I think about the night before in Tampa. Puck luck. Cody Ceci rips that shot off the crossbar. And it's an eighth of an inch lower. It's a tie game, and we have the momentum going forward, and it doesn't go in. Tonight, I think there were some opportunities where we could have scored. I think the one that was on the goal line that kind of bounced between Bobrovsky's pads, didn't quite cross the goal line. I think Hamlin had a really good chance there, just didn't quite go in. But I think we had enough chances to win. We just have to limit the opportunities the opposition gets.
Based on the conversations with your players and yourself, it certainly doesn't come down to effort. So does frustration kind of set in when you're not getting these bounces coming your way, when it's not due to a lack of effort?
A little bit of frustration, but also everyone working together. The effort's been great. I've no questions about that. But when you're frustrated, you often aren't thinking clearly with a clear mind, and often you forget an assignment, or you work too hard, you over back check and you open up the slot. Those kind of things where we need to just step back and just make the right plays.
I feel sorry for that guy.
You were scribbling down a few points. Though,
well,
from
no,
that.
the one thing he said is exactly what this team does, and part of it's coach speak, but it comes back around to what I was saying about they can say all they want that they're trying to commit to defense, but they're not. Just watch their tendencies. This is an offensive group, and he said one of the things that Knobloch said in his quote there was they're cheating the game, which is a coach's way of politely saying that these guys are cheating on their responsibilities, and it's ending up in the back of the net. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. Hey, if you're watching right now, give us a thumbs up. Hammer that thumbs up. We'd appreciate that.
I love when it's the first text from a number. Like
first time.
Going back to like August, September, all that.
Yeah,
The first text. First text here. Sick of hearing about puck luck. A real man makes his own luck. Billy Zane, Titanic. That's a text.
That's a first timer slide in like that. I love it. Hey,
with a Billy Zane.
Maybe it's your first time checking out the show. We love you. Tell your friends about it. Super easy. Just download the free TuneIn app or get on your desktop and just listen to it at edmontonsportstalk.com, or of course be part of, I think, the best sporting community in the entire bloody country, the Nasty Chat, every single morning here with us. This text is in. We're still working our way through the morning after show for EM Utility Locating. I like how, like, on the old station, we have to mix in all these commercials and stuff.
Yeah.
And the morning after show would be like 9 minutes, and we're just like super quick with it.
We call it paying the bills.
The morning after show has basically become like an hour-long thing.
Vent.
The morning after a game, which is great.
Vent.
This text message is in. It says, this isn't a bad hockey team. This is a terrible hockey team. Majority of the players expected to take a step forward have actually taken 2 steps back. A team who had major defensive problems has managed to get worse in that position. Without McDavid and Draisaitl having career years, the team is an on-ice representation of the organization. Pure dumpster fire. That's in from the real, not-so-slim Shady. So, yes, your text messages, straight fire to the Paris Jewelers inbox at 780-218-9999. Guys, 3 weeks ago, there was talk about a new coach, and Dusty was 100% right. It's not a coaching issue. It's a team issue. Kenny Holland and Jeff Jackson have really ruined this team. You know what was funny? I was on one of my, I might as well. I'm already into the story. Who was I talking to? Now I can't even remember who it was. Somebody I very much respect.
Matt Dunnigan.
No, it wasn't Matt Dunnigan. It wasn't Suits. I thought for a second maybe it was Suits, but it's not Suits. I can't remember who it was. But anyway, well, actually, no, I can't remember. Anyway, it was somebody with TSN.
Okay.
And we were sitting down and we're talking, and he said, you know what I worry about with the Oilers is that maybe this group has aged out. And I was like, uh-oh.
You've been saying they need to grow up.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think they need to mature. But, he goes, Nugent Hopkins is a year older. coming off like his best season ever. He's never going to come close to that again. Kane's a year older. Draisaitl and McDavid are still in their prime. Cece's a year older. Hyman's a year older. I was like, I don't think they've aged out. But when you see a team be this disjointed in the early going, I'm like, man, maybe has the window freaking closed? The window was kind of just supposed to be not even all the way open. It was like way up here, but it wasn't even like fully opened yet. This year was supposed to be fully open window. And I guess last year would have been fully open window too, especially after Ekholm. But now it's like, what's going on with this window? Yeah. Like Jeff Jackson's on the other side of it, like trying to hold it up as much as he can. But you start to wonder. About
Kenny's just looking through, breathing on it heavily. Hey, I'm still here.
Man. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, let's continue the EM utility. I mean, do you feel that way? Do people feel that 17 games have closed the window? I have such a hard time believing in professional sports, whether it's hockey, whatever. Football's different because there's not as many games, but it'd be like a season, but or like a 5-game stretch in the NFL. I don't think anybody closes a window that quickly, but I think the window right now is propped up on one of those little, like a piece of kindling. And it's just like waiting. It's like, it could snap at any time.
It's not a romance novel holding this thing up.
Yeah.
This is a... But again, 97-29, you always feel that with them in the equation, them in the mix, that they'll drag you out of the embers somehow, some way. But a lot of people talking about Leon's disposition. He wants out of here. He's cranky. He doesn't. McDavid, he's banged up. He's hurt. He's whatever. Now he's mad.
Yeah, but Leon's been cranky for years.
I mean, that's just who he is. Do you not feel that the temperature now has risen just slightly a bit? Whereas you mentioned that window was perceived to be here, and now it's down to here. And then with their attitudes and everything happening, like, again, with them on the team, you always have a slight glimmer, a faint flicker of something. And I just feel like that's getting decreased now.
This is supposed to be a raging fire.
Oh, I know. That's the issue, too. But
oh, boy.
Yep.
Let's get in your super stat of the night. What jumped off the page for you, buddy?
871.
871.
It's not super, but as I've said on various morning after shows, I will go to a stat that jumps off the page, and you were looking for maybe, I don't know, some sort of a bump. Maybe you don't play him in this game. Maybe you play him against the Hurricanes. Somebody said yesterday maybe you play him against the scheduled loss that would be the Carolina Hurricanes. But Pickard last night, 871, 27-31. I'm not going to blame him or anything like that. But again, you get goaltending sub 900 and a team that needs, a little help. It's not so much the volume and everything, but just that one moment, something to gain momentum. 871, again, not good enough. It's not really summing up last night, but it's indicative of the season. Good goaltending, average goaltending, not great. And I think if you had great some nights, they'd be somewhere a little above where they are right now. It would help a bit. If the power play was clicking a little better, it would help a bit. If the defensive zones were a little more robust and stout, it would help a bit. All these things would help a bit on their own. So I'll go to goaltending last night. The first we saw Pickard called up after putting some good numbers together down in Bakersfield, but 871 again. Maybe good on some nights for some teams, but not great and not good enough for this team right now.
Yeah, Bobrovsky had an 893 in a win. So it's like
fair enough. But he doesn't need to be. I'm saying he can just afford to be good. I think the Oilers do need sometimes a stolen a save here or there or a stolen game from a goaltender. They just haven't really gotten it at all ever.
I think the super stat of the night for me has to be on the other side of this thing with Mikkola, who they used. That was actually a call last night on the Panthers broadcast.
Congratulations.
I would do the exact same thing. Anyway, he had 2 goals last night. His career high in a season is 3. He's got 3 goals this season, 2 of them coming last night. He now has 8 goals in his NHL career, and 25% of them came last night against the Edmonton Oilers, and one of them actually went off an Edmonton Oiler. And I'm sure Mikkola skated by him and said, "Hey, thanks for the assist." That's a tough look right there.
Get out the Ricola horns too. It's one thing to play the Ricola, but get the full horn out. You might as well. For
you
the guy.
never expect him to score. So
Florida,
you probably. That's why you can make the Mikkola call because he's going to score 3 or 4 goals a year, right? That's it. So shout out to that guy. 3 stars at the game last night. Your first star was Mikkola. Your second star was Connor McDavid, and your third star was Stenlund. So the Oilers lose to the Florida Panthers with the 2 stars from the Panthers being Mikkola and Stenlund.
Stenlund.
If you can't contain Stenlund, Who can you contain?
Evander Kane.
4th star?
Yes. Had a goal. 14 minutes of penalties.
Took a 10-minute misconduct.
I mean, he's getting out there. Yeah, it's one of those things, too. And somebody was saying, Kachuk and being able to game Kane. It almost seems like, Kachuk's always the one kind of getting guys in that position. And Kane seems to be the guy, kind of falling to those things and falling to that gamesmanship. But, I'll go with Kane nonetheless. Still providing some offense there with the goal and a little bit of the physical play last night.
38th star of the game. I'm going to go with the Nuge. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, -2. Had 1 shot on goal. Played over 21 minutes in the hockey game last night. Of course, it was a game where, once again, the Edmonton Oilers basically played with 9 forwards because they only had 11, and they didn't play 2 of them. So it's a 3-line hockey team because of the way this bad boy's been constructed. And they end up losing the game. Now for your EM Utility Locating Steady Eddie of the evening. Visit them at emutilitylocating.com. Steady Eddie of the evening last night. Oh, boy. Where did we go with the Steady Eddie last night? Man, I guess I'm going to just look back to, like, Cody Ceci.
Well, Connor Brown.
18 minutes.
I mean, 16-10. And you've got a dozen eggs there.
Yeah, we can't make him a Steady Eddie. I saw somebody last night be like, Dusty, I think he must have been joking, but it was a hilarious tweet. And it wasn't I don't even think I tweeted anything about Connor Brown last night. But somebody else must have been commenting in my replies to the game about Connor Brown. And somebody replied and said, well, he basically helped set up that first McDavid goal. It's a shame they don't give the 3rd assist. I'm like, oh, my God.
We're talking third
we're trying to stretch. I really hope the Oilers have, like, an analytics crew that keeps track of 3rd assists. And they're like, chalk one up for Connor Brown. He's on the board. Cody Ceci. Your EM Utility Locating Steady Eddie of the evening. GPR, concrete scanning, damage prevention, planning, design, education, and training. Get it all with emutilitylocating.com. They will help you get your job done safely. Mike is in on the nasty chat and says, Nuge is your trade bait. George replies immediately with, Nuge will be the captain after McDavid is gone. Dofish P says, when is RNH back? He's missed like 10 games. Oh, man.
Well,
this is a straight up fire.
Yeah.
Fire today.
Milk carton texts, right? The old, have you seen this person? Trade bait. We're talking trade bait, hey?
This text is into the Paris Jewelers inbox at 780-218-9999. I don't know if it's going to be your text of the day for A&W, but why is Bouchard playing? He's responsible for goals against. He's responsible for games lost. That comes in from Shovelhead. And you know what? This comes back around to what I was saying a little bit earlier on, where this team doesn't have the mindset. They can say it all they want, but they don't have the mindset to defend. They only think about offense, no matter where they are on the ice. And I know Bouchard has become, there are people who will, because of the offensive production, they'll die on the hill. They'll die on the hill with Bouchard. And both things can be true. And they are. Bouchard is an amazing offensive defenseman. And he's one of the worst defensive defensemen in the National Hockey League. Both things are true. He is brilliant at one end of the ice. He is god-awful at the other. If they could make it work, being a power play specialist might end up being what he essentially could become. But when you're playing Bouchard 22, 23 minutes a night, you can't tell me that the overall mindset of the team is to defend. Because he doesn't have a defending bone in his body. The energy and intensity level is lacking, to put it politely. But he's an incredible, brilliant, one of the top 10 offensive defensemen in the National Hockey League. See, but you have to weigh, are you going to be an organization that just, tries to pretend that you can play defense when your roster is constructed to just go this way, just push offensively? So, Like, I wish they could be better at being who they are as opposed to trying to pretend to be something they're not and also be brutal at pretending to be something they're not, right? So this team wins hockey games 5-4, 5-3. That's how they've always done it. If they're going to have success again this year, that's how it's going to have to be done because they're not constructed to do it anywhere else. Ryan says, Bouchard is a hill to die on. He has shown that he can play defense, just not this year so far. Right? Look, man, Bouchard has shown that he can play defense for what? 20% of last season? When that's the outlier, I don't think we can sit here and say, oh, no, he can play. He can play defense. He can't. He can't. He couldn't in junior. And when you can't in junior, there's probably no reason to think all of a sudden you can start doing it in the National Hockey League. I don't think.
Wouldn't think.
But he's brilliant offensively. So it's a real tough spot to find yourself in, I guess. We said we were going to get to this. End of the 6 o'clock hour. Why not? Hey, I missed this. I'm so happy this is a thing now. 6 o'clocker song. Let's go.
It's the 6 o'clock check-in. Come on, let's go. It's the AM Nasty Big Hello. It's not static AM radio. It's the Cool Ben Red Hot Nielson Show.
Woo! 6 o'clocker song. John Team Victoria. You brilliant bastard. Well done. You have done it again.
I think this anthem will get us through some times here. You can kind of feel it, hey, on the horizon.
Oh, I think so.
It's going to be a dark, cold winter,
I
and I
think
think this anthem will help out a bit.
Tombstone Tuesday. If you have anything that would be a hell of a thing to say to me, text it in 780-218-9999. I like this one that came in a little bit earlier from the Grey Cup. Matt Dunnigan to Dusty. I think you should take a cab for a 10-minute walk.
That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
But in Hamilton, you have to. The debate on Bouchard in the Nasty Chat is quite a thing. I'm loving it. Keep her going. By the way, give us a thumbs up if you're watching this morning. We have Craig Button coming on the way next. Well, we'll get his thoughts on the game last night. The fact that the Oilers have yet to beat what we describe as a good hockey team so far this season. The power play, have teams just figured it out, or should we expect it to bounce back at some point? And, yeah. Part of me wants to ask him if a trade saves the day, but it's basically financially almost impossible. Nobody's going to want to throw a bone to a team that was supposed to be viewed as a Stanley Cup contender, and you're not even sure who's going to be making the trade anyway. So not an ideal situation to be in, I guess.
And you don't want to get a bone just for bone's sake.
That's the last thing you want.
No.
That's the last thing you want. All right, let's get to a sports rewind with Lieutenant Air Craig Button coming up. Confessions coming up. More of your hot takes on the Edmonton Oilers. Are they just a bad team? Is it time to just accept that they can't beat good teams? And teams that can't beat good teams are bad teams. So is it time to just accept that, or are you still sitting here going, you're pulling back their face, and you're like, there's a good team in there somewhere. Let's find them. Like in the Peter Pan movie Hook, where he's like digging through his face, and he's like, Peter, it is you. Like, is that Oilers team still in there somewhere? Sports Rewind with Lieutenant Eric right now.
Connor McDavid with a pair of goals. Oilers, though, dropping another one on the road, 5-3 to the Panthers. Calvin Pickard, 27 saves on 31 shots faced. Oilers visit the Hurricanes tomorrow. Edmonton with 11 points through 17 games thus far. Over to the NFL this morning, some breaking news. The Steelers firing offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Pittsburgh sit third in the AFC North with a 6-4 record. Last night, the Eagles would rally to beat the Chiefs 21-17. Philly now 9-1, while the loss drops KC to 7-3. You can join me Thursday at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, and the Packers visit the Detroit Lions. The Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino Fort Road, where every day is game day. Over to the NBA, Raptors visit the Magic tonight for in-season tournament play. It's one of 5 games. And Canadian men's soccer team look to advance to the semifinals of the CONCACAF Nations League this evening when they host Jamaica. Kickoff 5:30 from Toronto, with Canada holding a 2-1 aggregate lead. This sports update for Universal Rewind. If your motor is performing like the Oilers, it might be time for a rewind. If only we could rewind the Oilers season.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
All right, 7:02 on the Nielson Show. Dustin Nielson and Lieutenant Eric with you discussing the 30th place Edmonton Oilers. We were asking you this morning, is it time to just admit they're a bad team, or are they like a middle-of-the-pack team that just can't get it done just yet? We're going to get into that. As always, every day, right here, our Hockey Insiders are brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. Visit their in-store only Super Saturday. Oh, boy, this is going to be good. Their in-store only Super Saturday sale.
Say that 5 times fast.
In-store only Super Saturday sale. Biggest sale of the year. Oilers jerseys, headwear and apparel. NFL jerseys, headwear and apparel. MLB headwear and apparel. Autographed frames and memorabilia. Autographed jerseys only in store this Saturday from 11 o'clock to 4 p.m. There might be a lineup outside. You just never know. You just never know. But yeah, go find that at Pro-Am. They are located on the corner of St. Albert Trail on 128th Avenue, just north of the Yellowhead. That sale this Saturday, and she's a big one at Pro-Am Sports. All right, let's bring in Craig Button here to try to help us make sense of the Edmonton Oilers not being able to beat good hockey teams. Mr. Button, good morning. How are you, sir?
I am good, Dustin and Eric, but I don't know if I can make sense of this situation at Edmonton. I mean, I heard your opening line. Are they just a team that is not good enough, or they're just a middling team that got to be accepted? It's hard to think of them as a middling team, with the expectations that were on them at the beginning of the year. Now, whether you agreed with those expectations or not, I think that they are a much better team than they're playing right at the moment. And it seems that whatever good they do in a game, they quickly undo it by making egregious errors. I learned this many years ago, Dustin and Eric, and I forget what football coach said. First rule of winning, don't beat yourself. I think the Oilers do a great job of beating themselves time and time again. And, you go back to the game against Florida. That's a good Florida team coming off the road. They're up 2-0. Evander Kane takes a stupid penalty that means nothing. Now all of a sudden it's 2-1. Now they're in the game.
Yeah.
It's 2-2. Then, they're up 3-2. Evander Kane makes a terrible turnover. And don't even get me started about Evan Bouchard. Does Evan Bouchard even know what defense is? I mean, he'd be better off turning his stick over, or Chris Knobloch should take him and put him right on the pine, or not even put him in uniform. He's been atrocious. And I don't care what he does with the puck. All he does is get them into trouble. Then you go, help us get out of the trouble you created. I mean, you talk about a mess. It's unbelievable how bad Evan Bouchard has been.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up, because I was going to get to it. The chat on YouTube today is engulfed in this battle between people who look at his puck possession numbers and what he can do offensively. But to me, the team has this mindset of that, where they try to tell us that, we want to play defense. They tell us that that's how they're going to have success. But Bouchard is the perfect example of, he's the way he functions is just only on the offensive side of the puck. And until you either change his game or play him less, it's kind of how the whole team seems like they're operating right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's what I would say is I think what you might have to do is make him a specialist.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, we're going to put you in situations on the power play. We're going to put you in. I continuously from the beginning of this year, and Jay Woodcroft said, I can't sit him out because I need him. No, you don't need him. He's the guy that got you into the soup. I mean, we heard Jay Woodcroft again and again and again and again. He does it. Like he's terrible. He's been to me, your actions speak way louder than your words. Way louder. I mean, in the way they play, even coming up the ice. When I think about the third goal that Florida scored, I mean, Darnell Nurse is waiting at the offensive zone blue line as Evander Kane is coming and trying to carry the puck over, turns it over, the stick goes flying. That's where Broberg falls. I mean, Darnell, but when you're chasing back defensively all the time, you're chasing back. You're chasing back. It's a 3-2 hockey game. You got the thing under control. What are you trying to do?
Yeah.
It's not just Bouchard. Their defensive play has been a trouble. Connor McDavid. I mean, Connor McDavid, in the game against Tampa Bay. Was it Tampa Bay? Yeah, Tampa Bay. I mean, he's flying the zone on a line change. Was that Hyman? Hyman had the broken stick. Wasn't that the broken stick against?
Yeah, I think that was the play, yeah.
Yeah. So he breaks his stick, and Connor McDavid's flying the zone. And they don't get the puck out, boom, it's in your net. What? What are you doing?
Well, there was the one play last night. It was Ekholm, and it led to a goal. He was trying. Draisaitl so Ekholm was just above the goal line, and Draisaitl was behind the two Florida D. And Ekholm he wanted to stretch it all the way up the ice to him, but he hit Hyman in the back inside the blue line, and Florida got the puck. And 2 seconds later, it was in the back of the net. To me, they just have this. They have this mindset where, it's the way it's always been here the last couple of years, where they just their idea of winning a game is it has to be 6-4, it has to be 5-3, as opposed to, you said it, they blew a 2-goal lead, they got the lead back, but they don't have this switch where they can all of a sudden just sit back and play sound defensive hockey as a group. Now, is that just because that's how all these guys are individually, or you should be able to coach them up as a group, shouldn't you? And I'm not putting on a Knobloch. The dude's only been around for 10 days.
Yeah, well, we saw it under Jay too. So, when you start to see it surface again and again and again under different coaches, at some point in time, the players have to take a good look at themselves and say, wait a second here. And we've heard the talk. I mean, we got to be better defensively. I mean, Connor McDavid has talked about, we got to push our play better in the defensive zone. But that example you gave, right? I believe that was the Mikkola goal, the second goal.
Yeah, the second goal.
Right? It's 2-1. Why do you feel you got to stretch it there? It's this mindset that says offense is better, and they don't even understand danger. They don't understand, wait a second, manage the game. How are we going to play this game where we don't lose control of it? And again this year, they've lost control of it. And what they've clearly shown this is they can't outscore their problems. And maybe that's the biggest, I would say, comeuppance for them, is the saying, okay, if that doesn't get your attention, what does? If that doesn't get your listen, we can't keep playing there because we can't. It's one thing when you win 5-4 and you win 4-3 and you're outscoring your problems. They're not outscoring their problems.
Well, Craig, and I guess and just as a whole to what you kind of answered, inability to recognize that, or an unwillingness. If you have a blue line comprised of all Evan Bouchards, I'm not going to expect that to be a stout defensive blue line. But you know that, right? But is this an inability to want to, is this a group unwilling to want to learn those things? Can it be drummed into their minds, or is this, again, to the greater point, is this just what they are as a group and as a collective, all offense, and there's no way you're going to beat that out of their minds at this point?
Yeah, and when you put it that way, a lack of an unwillingness, like right now it feels like there's an unwillingness to do it. And so if we go and we use recent history down the stretch, when they traded for Matthias Ekholm last year, they really played really strong defensive play. They weren't winning 7-4. They were playing really good defensively. So, when you watch how they played, you go, okay, we've seen them do it.
Yeah.
And they did it for 20 games. They didn't do it for 3. So I have to lean and think it's weighted more towards an unwillingness to do it. Eric, it's really, really hard to play defense. It's really, really hard to dig in and compete for your space and not give up. It's easy to go one way and fly the zone and get the puck and get those easy. It's hard to play defense. And right now, the Edmonton Oilers don't look willing to play hard defensively.
Well, that's more of an indictment, though, than I'm fine if you don't have the ability. I mean, that's just sometimes how you're made. But if there's an unwillingness, that's a concern. Exclamation point.
I totally agree with you. And I think it should be a big concern. I mean, again, right now, Evan Bouchard is the poster boy for the unwillingness. I've watched Evan for a long time. Okay, he's got a style of play with the puck. We all know that he's good with it. But what he's doing right now defensively it is laissez-faire, like, oh, well. And I think that's a case of him, oh, well, I'm going to make mistakes. Oh, well, they got to put me out here. Did I tell you the story about Bob Gainey? We had a player in Dallas.
You did.
I told you that story.
Yeah, exactly.
And Bob told him, he goes, sit down and stop looking at me. Stop putting us in the soup and thinking I got to lean on you to get us out of it.
Hey, in the long run, did it work? Or was it just like...
No, well, here's where it worked, Dustin. It worked because everybody knew that there was going to be a standard.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. So we laid it out here. They've got 5 wins this season. All 5 wins, 2 against Seattle, the Islanders, Nashville, and Calgary. All 5 wins are against teams that probably aren't going to be in the playoffs. So they have not beaten a good hockey team yet. They've already made the coaching change. They went on this critical Eastern road trip, a 4-gamer where, you're hoping they could come back with 5 points. They've got 2 games left, so that's impossible at this point. Where do you go from here, Craig? Like, is this just Chris Knobloch, you're the coach, figure this out? Because I just don't see a trade fixing the group, fixing what ails the group, I guess, outside of trading for Carey Price in 2013,
Well, I never worry about Carey Price because Carey Price would dial in. I think that they need to examine you can say it's hard to make a trade. They need to change the makeup of the team.
Yeah.
I think they need to change the makeup of the team. Now, okay, we know that McDavid and Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins, we know how top end. We know, I'm talking the type of player that comes in that says defense matters. I remember when I first came to Calgary, our penalty killing wasn't very good. And Brad McCrimmon came to me. He was our assistant coach, and he said, "We got guys that are the best flamingos. They should go up on the lawns of people that are having birthdays." He goes, "The way they kill penalties." I said, "Okay, what do you suggest?" He goes, "Ronnie Sutter is training in San Jose. He's a free agent." Anyway, we ended up signing Ronnie Sutter. Ronnie Sutter came in, and I remember the first game on the penalty kill. He was blocking shots. He was committed to it. And Brad McCrimmon couldn't have been happier than happier. And that's it. It's a types of players that come in that say, "This is the way we're going to play. This is how we're going to play." And it's not about sexy. They got enough sexy. They need players that are going to dig in and play and play hard and do the things. And, go back to the history of the Edmonton Oilers and think of the Dave Hunters and think of the Ryan Smiths and think of the Craig McTavishes and think of those players you can look at any team that's successful. You got to have those players to win. I don't think the Oilers do. I think they have to make a composition change on their team and the type of player, and they're out there. And that's the job of the manager to go and do the work to find them and get them into the lineup.
Much like this show, you said it, Craig, they got a lot of sexy. Well, they got to grind it out a little bit, so that's good. As always, man, we really appreciate the time. Thanks a lot.
You have sexy and grinding.
See you later, Craig. There you go. It's Craig Button, brought to you by our great partners over at Pro-Am Sports. And they've got the huge sale coming up this Saturday. You do not want to miss it. We listed it all off earlier. It's in store 11 to 4 on Saturday at Pro-Am. We'll continue to tee that bad boy up as we work our way through the week.
I'll see you there.
Oh, I have no room. I got no room anywhere. I guess I got room in the office now.
You should look at building on an extra wing to your house. Maybe that's now with the ODR season kind of taking a bit of a maybe that's a project.
I'm starting to get really frustrated with the ODR.
A new western wing to the Nielsen estate.
That would be good actually. Let's see what Tam thinks about that.
I'm here for the project.
Probably
and you getting
not.
advice every morning on
my next step would be the garage. Start covering the garage.
Covering the garage?
Yeah.
Oh,
but then you don't get to see them very often. I don't even park in the garage, so it's like it'd be a waste. Okay, so. Well, let me throw this at you. Coming out of what Craig Button said, and we'll dive into it all with Gager. Gage will be by just over an hour. So we asked, so you made the coaching change. Can't beat good teams. Goaltending, I mean, there's two things you could do here. One, if you truly, honestly believe that is 100% on goaltending, then you could go make a trade for a goalie. Now, I know many of you are going to go, but Dusty, you can't let Ken Holland make a trade for. He's not making the deals anymore. It's that simple. He might put in the room. He'll put in a call, but Jeff Jackson will make the final decision here. Now, with that being said, Jeff Jackson would have had the final decision, I think, on the coaching change, which I thought was a ridiculous move to make at the time anyway. You were literally taking Jay Woodcroft off of the Titanic, throwing him onto a lifeboat, taking Knobloch off the lifeboat, and placing him back on the Titanic. I mean, that's basically what they did here with the coaching change. There's nothing different about this group. So the next step, logically, would be a trade of some sort to try to salvage the season. Craig said they have to do it.
Oh, perfect.
He
What
said they have to
are you
change it.
shopping for?
Well, here's the thing. I guess there's two ways you can look at it. I'm looking at like a minor deal that if they are just missing like that defensive leader up front, a guy who will full-blown Matt Hendricks his junk in front of a puck, then you add draft picks to Ryan McLeod and you trade him for a veteran third-line center. Nobody will ever miss Ryan McLeod. There's zero production from Ryan McLeod. There's zero physical play from Ryan McLeod. I'm not even sure why a team would trade for Ryan McLeod. But if you were to add some draft pick capital to Ryan McLeod, you might be able to bring in like Craig said, they're out there. I wasn't planning on getting into this trade conversation coming in this morning. So I don't have a list of third line centers on teams that might be willing to move, but you could find that guy. The only other option would be maybe there's that type of move. I'm not sure it makes does bringing in a third-line veteran center. Now, those types of guys, a lot of them will lead by example on the ice, but you'd love a guy. You'd love a guy like, and this is not a slight because I don't think he's a third-line center caliber at this stage of his career. I still think there's more to his game, but like a Ryan O'Reilly type who could come in here and not only provide the defensive awareness, but also he's had the success that the elites have not had, and he's had that as an elite on some of these teams. So that's a voice that the leadership group might actually bow down to, as opposed to a third liner coming in here that's never really done it. And yeah, he's going to try hard on the ice, but McDavid and Draisaitl will still get to sit next to each other on the bench. You know what I mean? To me, I'm not sure that moves the needle enough. You could try to go out and pull the trigger on a goalie, but that goalie would have to come in here and be absolutely sensational.
Lance Kane suggests in the nasty chat, just sign Phil the Thrill.
Not the right guy. Love him. Not the right guy for the task at hand here. So if you're watching right now, and there's many of you watching, first of all, hammer the thumbs up. Second of all, tell your friends it's very cool to be able to watch morning sports content on your television if you want. Or you can tell them to listen on TuneIn when you hop in the car this morning. Is that what has to happen next year? Like if they could not take one of the next two, the road trip is a disaster. And people were like, this is it. The season comes down to this trip. Well, the trip started 0-2, and you still got Carolina and a really stingy Washington Capitals.
They've won 4 straight.
Who, Washington?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they don't allow
Slow
goals.
start to the season, but they've been, exactly.
Like, Washington Capitals
we know the Hurricanes
are basically the exact opposite of Edmonton Oilers this year. They don't score goals. They also don't allow any goals. So it's not an easy finish to this trip. Anything out, like if they were to win the next two, all they've done is salvaged an okay road trip. Anything less, the trip's a disaster. So then you're coming home off this disastrous trip. You're still second last in the division by a significant margin.
Ducks on a Sunday nighter following the trip. I mean, that's going to be...
Who doesn't love the Ducks on a Sunday nighter?
I'm just warning you here.
Oh, by the way, the Ducks are also like 6 points ahead of the Edmonton Oilers right now.
And then you got the Golden Knights Tuesday in here. I'm just, again, brace yourselves.
I think Tommy's got some wild TV
Bozo,
to record.
yeah, I was watching there.
Bozo.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to be in for at least one of, if not two of those post-game shows.
Ooh-wee.
And you do not want me angry because I'm going to have to be up late and then have to get up the next morning like 4 hours later and just say all the same stuff, losing my mind anyway. So they better come out with a good performance because if they go and get pumped by the Golden Knights, oh boy. But no, so I guess the question is like, is a trade the only thing that helps now? And what would that trade be? This is, for so many years, I've always been like, save your trade proposals. Don't need to see these trade proposals.
That has been something you've said. Yeah, save your trade proposals.
And it's a mystery on who would actually negotiate said trade. And I know a lot of people will be, you can't allow Holland to do it, and they're not. Ken Holland's basically a figurehead now, I would think. So you saw now this is why I'd be even a little bit worried about what have they done to themselves here? Like
what they done to you?
But no, but it's just so frustrating because they were heading in such a good direction. And then you bring in Jackson to be your CEO of hockey ops in a year that you're supposed to win it all or supposed to contend to win it all. And now you've got him, I guess, making the final decisions, but he's never done this before.
It seems like they're moving forward with all this stuff too soon.
Yeah, like
why? What's the rush here?
The guys that you have to make this trade right now are the CEO, who's never done it before, a general manager that I don't think you can trust. I know people, like Ken Holland has made some good moves. They're a much better team now than when Ken Holland took them over. But he's also been reckless in some of the moves that have put them in a spot where they can't dress a full lineup. They can't go make this deal here.
Can't bring back Costin. Can't bring him back.
Goaltending is an issue. Like the errors that Ken Holland has made have been significant errors that have now officially hampered the team moving forward forever. Made some good moves too. Great moves. But the big mistakes have completely screwed the organization. So now you get Jackson in here, who has great connections and everything, and maybe he has Ken Holland do the legwork of reaching out to guys and says, bring me your best deals. And then he takes them down. He's like, Jackson's the three-eyed raven sitting here, and he's like trying to make the final call. And I don't know how Paul Coffey, the assistant coach, factors into the trade.
Well, he's transmitting the
being made.
Yeah.
But I guess my question would be, how can you trust the group to make that decision as well when the big one was panic fire Jay Woodcroft so far? So, I mean, it's 7:25 on November 21st. I'm sitting here going, I'm not too sure what to do.
Well, I think as you mentioned, though, you said, does a trade fix or help? I think it's just the next step to do in this death march here.
But that's also
I know, but you're just doing it to do it, and you're not. There's nothing out there right now that's going to aid or all of the things we've discussed. I mean, okay, so what? Hypothetically, you identify a goaltender to go at, you pull a trigger on a deal. Well, that's great. The goaltender comes in. You still have defensive issues, a power play that's not clicking, and two stars that aren't playing to the best of their capabilities. You go, you say, okay, you go shop, get a blue liner. Okay, that's fine. Make a trade for a defenseman. He comes in. Goaltenders are still not putting up great performances, isn't good, and you're still not scoring the power play. You can't fix it all. What do you multiple deals? Like, are we really getting that crazy? You just don't see it happening. So it'd be a next step logically in this. Again, okay, we've done the coach. Now you do a deal. But
the only problem is like, well, we said it when they fired the coach. It was probably the most critical moment of the Connor McDavid era. And I guess, if they were to make a significant trade where we're all like, holy smokes, I can't believe they pulled that off, then that would be the new significant, because you're getting to these spots where it's your last chance with it. That this going to Knobloch, this is kind of your last crack at it with McDavid and Draisaitl as a head coach that we know of just yet. They could sign forever, and there could be 3 more head coaches along the way, but that's a critical moment. If whatever a trade ends up being right now, if it's of significance, would be another extremely critical moment in either this thing goes one way or it goes the other, and it's a nightmare. So I don't know if there's a full-blown reset to this core again that you'll be able to get through. So interesting times, I guess. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If you hit us up, you could get in the mix for the text of the day with A&W. Tom Dixon's mustache. The NHL is a good league. Coaches coach. Other teams are learning how to play against the Oilers. The Oilers aren't adjusting their style to stay ahead. I think that's a good way to describe exactly what's going on the power play as well. Dusty, I think the best way to sum up Holland's time here is to say his trades were good, but his signings were awful. For example, Ekholm and Bukestad, good. Bouchard and Campbell, bad. That's in from Big Dave this morning. Hey, boys, Nugent Hopkins, Bouchard, Campbell, and a first-rounder for a defensive defenseman, a goalie, and a gritty third liner. He doesn't even
go get it.
I just a blockbuster of that level. What are we talking? Are we talking here Gary Lehman, Dougie Gilmore trade? Is that what we're viewing this as? Then you move McLeod and Lavoie for another top third liner who is gritty.
Yes.
I wonder if you like somebody who can play physical, who can defend, provide a little bit of production in that McLeod spot. But does that move the needle for the group? Not too sure. We'll continue the conversation, so let's go. Hit us up in the Nasty Chat. We'll try to work our way through a bunch of those. I see a number of you in there, so we'll go there. Also, of course, in the Paris Jewelers inbox at 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Let's get into your Cool Bet hotline of the day for Cool Bet Canada.
Matty was cooking for a little time.
Was he really?
Well, you were away. He was.
No Mr. Lean today. Trev is in the producer's chair.
We called him Mr. Erect.
What?
Because instead of leaning,
because he was so hot.
Mr. Perfect.
He was so on fire.
Mr. Straight edge. Yeah.
I'm really sad. I missed the days we were calling Matty Mr. Erect.
It was a time.
Must have been really tough to miss out on. What about this Canada-Jamaica affair here?
Yeah, what about it?
Well, what do you think?
Tell me. Second leg tonight.
Tell me about it. What are you expecting tonight? Because Canada right now is a minus 189 money line favorite.
Yeah, well, they need
a little too juicy for us, but
they need at least a draw to move on. They do take a 2-1 aggregate lead into tonight's match. It'll be Canada-Jamaica from Toronto's BMO Field. Hopefully, they fill the seats in that little park that they call BMO out there. The
that
HQ,
little one that's going to have
the
a World
HQ
Cup
of Canada men's soccer, if you can believe it. But 5:30 tonight from Toronto, Canada with a 2-1 aggregate lead. So they need a draw tonight or a win to move on to the semis of the CONCACAF Nations League. It's also qualifying for gold. This is they should be able to. Jamaica's got some talent. They've got some Premier League pedigree players. 2-1. I didn't watch any of the game down in Jamaica on that rain-soaked, whatever you want to call it, pitch. But I like Canada at home. I like them to take care of business, and if they just need a draw to move on. Now, I don't know what you said, one minus 189.
It's minus 189.
I'd like him to score tonight, if that answers your question at all. I like to see them a goal. I'd see either a 1-0 or a 1-all, something like that, perhaps.
So a draw would be plus 330. They win at home though, like
they don't need the win though, so they can just set up to have it. It's the think of the anti-Oilers hockey right now. Set up to kind of keep everything in front of you, play a good defensive game, and just have an easy.
Okay, I was gonna say. So where do you come out on 2 goals? 2 goals would be minus 152. Is that asking too much?
If they did it down in Jamaica, I don't see why they can't do it at home too. And I think with how Jamaica play, I mean they're not a farmers team, shall we say, of a bunch of schlubs who will just say, hey, we need to go in there, we can't hang with them, we need to prevent goals going in our net. They can play, so maybe, and they need to come out here and get a result. Maybe with Jamaica pressing forward and playing a little more open, Canada can come back on the counter. So yeah, right. Why not 2 goals?
Canada 2 goals or more. Minus 152 will be your cool bet hotline of the day. And then for Patty and the crew, Evdog, whoever's there, a cool bet. I want this little parlay put up, a little EST parlay today.
The replacemont is what they were.
Yeah, that was good. That's a great handle for them yesterday. By the way,
like that.
Shout out to those guys for filling in for Huss a couple of times. Yeah. I want Canada on the money line at minus 189 and the Lakers on the money line at minus 323 because I really wouldn't bet either of those numbers individually. But if we parlay them up, it's plus 100 right now, so you double your money. Now it's plus 103. It just changed as I'm looking at it. And then hopefully we'll get a little bit of an EST boost. So Canada, Lakers, money line. That way, if Canada gets it done, everybody can cheer with me on the Lakers game tonight, which is a real sneaky way to have it.
He's an in-season tournament boy.
A sneaky boy. Yeah, the Lakers are unbeaten in NBA tournament play, and LeBron has been excellent. As of late.
See, this is the point of this tournament.
I mean, the kid's amazing. Like, the guy's amazing. I said
competition for you guys.
Yeah. So let's get that on a little parlay. Canada and the Lakers on the money line, and then give us Canada over 1.5 goals tonight for the cool bet hotline of the day. Coming up, your confessions. I did something at the Grey Cup that I have not done in years. Years, I tell you. We're going to get into that as we work our way through the show. What do you need to confess? Fantasy football, life confessions, work confessions, relationship confessions, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat. And yes, we will come back around to the Edmonton Oilers a little bit later. I want to talk a little bit about the Elks and private ownership maybe. We'll get into that as we work our way through the show as well. But let's get to a sports update for Park Mazda with Lieutenant Eric.
Another loss for the Oilers on their East Coast swing, 5-3 down in Sunrise to the Panthers. Connor McDavid with a pair in the loss. Oilers will visit Carolina tomorrow. Edmonton 11 points through 17 games thus far. Over to the NFL, where the Pittsburgh Steelers have fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada this morning. Steelers sit third in the AFC North with a 6-4 record. Last night, the Eagles rallying to knock off the Chiefs 21-17. Philly now 9-1, while the loss drops KC to 7-3. Join me Thursday at the Central Casino Sports Bar Lounge when the Packers visit the Lions. The Central Casino Sports Bar Lounge at Central Casino Fort Road, where every day is game day. NBA in-season tournament play resumes tonight. Raptors visit the Magic in one of 5 games. And on the pitch, Canada's men's soccer team look to advance to the semis of the CONCACAF Nations League this evening. They host Jamaica. Kickoff 5:30 down in Toronto, with Canada holding a 2-1 aggregate lead. The sports update brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda and Mitch Lewicki, where the staff are more open than the jar of peanut butter on Mitch Lewicki's desk.
If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as newborn 8-pound, 6-ounce Mitch Lewicki. You can picture grown-up Mitch, or teenage Mitch, or bearded Mitch, or whoever you want.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
The Nielson Show, featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
what's going on? Dusty and Lieutenant Eric with you here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Great day coming up today. We've got the hangout at 9 o'clock today. Matt and Tommy will be in on that. Do you know who's in today on the hangout? Maddie's not even here, so we can't even ask him. You two, Trev, any ideas? No. Nobody knows.
I think he was teasing it with me. He was at the Centric Casino Sports Bar and Lounge last night, Centric Casino Fort Road as well, in which we gifted Tony the trip to Los Angeles. But Matt Iwanek was down there as well, having he had a glass of red. He was
Did he?
Yeah, meat pizza, all meat pizza, 8-inch personalized pan.
Yeah, that sounds real nice.
It's delicious. I had one as well. I had the torpedo shrimp. It was a banner night, but he did mention the hangout briefly, and I
can't remember.
Don't recall.
What I can
guarantee
good of a lineup is that it'll be amazing conversation today.
Yes,
on the hangout. We will have the lock shop, myself and Huss. Tough weekend for Huss. Bombers lose the Grey Cup and the Chiefs lose last night. MVS cannot catch a ball to save his life. Nick Dembski hauls that thing in every single time.
We were saying Philpott hauls that thing in.
Yeah, Philpott probably would have.
That's what we were all saying last night at the casino.
I do like that. So we'll have the lock shop, and then at noon today, two guys are going. There's no games tonight in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I know.
There's no games Thursday.
NBA in-season tournament. Well, Thursday's the Thanksgiving. I mean, that's kind of that.
Yeah, okay, I guess. Yeah, you got to stay away.
But tonight is
the last
the
thing you want.
Thanksgiving travel day. Is that what the NHL fears? Thanksgiving travel.
Why is there no game today? Does somebody know this? Is this by design? Or is the National Hockey League? There's no football tonight. You're scared of the NBA in-season tournament.
That
doesn't make sense.
5 games.
They don't want to try to steal the spotlight from men's Canadian soccer.
Gold Cup and Nations League qualifying. That's big.
How is there not a game in the National Hockey League tonight? You have 32 bloody teams. That doesn't
and with
make
what
any
you
sense.
mentioned, 5 in-season tournament games and some soccer, this would kind of be the night to maybe have a...
How dare you want the spotlight on your league?
Prior to the Thanksgiving rush. Wednesday, though, we're stacked.
There has to be a reason.
All the teams play Wednesday, though. It's one of those...
Well, is that because everybody... No, I don't
know. Your
NHL,
answer is probably ESPN is the answer, right? Somehow, some way.
Put a game on tonight.
It's got to be ESPN.
Huss and I are going to have to spend the lock shop talking about 5 NBA in-tournament games. And then the soccer game. Well, we'll spend a lot of it breaking.
Well, he'll be crying as well. So used to winning over the past few years, our Huss, hey? Like this is uncharted waters.
On the lock shop today, I sat with somebody at the Grey Cup on Friday. This is even one of my confessions, but it was on was it Saturday or Friday night. It was Saturday night. It was a betting experience unlike anything I've ever seen any other time in my life, and I'll never see it again. That's how rare this was. It was the gambling unicorn on Saturday night, and I'll get into that on the lock shop.
I have a betting experience from last night that might trump this.
This won't. I guarantee it won't. It got to the point where Huss came over. He was over at Bomber's house, came over to the pub we were at, and came in and got down on a knee and was praying to the gambling god. He was just like, this is the most unbelievable thing I've ever heard of in my life. So we'll get into that in the lock shop today. What was your story last night, though?
Rob, who usually joins us every Monday and Thursday,
Rob.
Centric Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, Centric Casino Fort Road. He goes after the contest, we give away the trip. He comes up to Iwanek. He goes, "This 20, boys. Let's go to the roulette table. You can put on anything you want." So we walked over, and Iwanek put it on 3 numbers, and none of them hit. And then we walked away with nothing.
Classic roulette.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I was trembling. I was shaking.
You were so nervous.
Yes.
Because what does that pay out at? 36-1 in roulette? I think it's something like that. That would have been nice.
That was the story. There's
anyway,
really
not as
more
cool as my story.
No.
But we'll get to that a little bit later on. Let's get into your confessions right now. Weekly confessions for Spectrum Rental, where they confess to coming up with some great confessions during the week when it doesn't matter, and then dropping the ball in crunch time, just like Marquez Valdez Scantling. Spectrum Rental, keeping your project on time. How good is that?
It wasn't even like he was led too much. You could argue that if it's led too much, and it was
right in his hands. He, for some reason,
man.
fell down when he could have just caught that in stride and stepped into the end zone. It was awful. Anyway, your confessions are brought to you by Spectrum Rental. They got everything to keep your project on time. It's as simple as that. They also are writing some hilarious confessions themselves. Lieutenant Eric, what do you got for a confession?
Well, I must confess, after all the advice and the put-downs and the just levity and humor that I received following the confession that I didn't get rid of my leaves and clean up my front yard.
Yeah.
I spent 3 hours Saturday afternoon getting rid of the leaves and clean my front yard. And actually, I have been praised, and a lot of people. I even had somebody walk by while I was doing it, saying, "Hey, love the job," yada yada yada.
Come on.
Paraphrase. So I was like, okay, well, I am now justified in my actions. So I'd like to confess that I did eventually go out. The front yard is winterized, as they say.
Wow,
and,
cool.
Away we go.
You put it to bed.
I put it to bed. Yeah.
So did you feel the heat from that other confession? That's why you're like, damn it!
I took everybody's. And look, a lesson learned in confession. Sometimes you confess something, and the nasty helps you out. Everybody gives you advice, sage advice. Maybe in the future. So I took all of that. I summed it up, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna use something with this. It doesn't just mean you confessing something, getting off your chest, but it's also a learning opportunity to take the advice from other people and move forward. I know it's a free advice, and that's a different thing, but I really felt good with this 2-week confessional exercise here and confessing of what I didn't do, but then having the opportunity to go back, right my wrongs, and I'm winter ready now, baby. It's all here. I'm good to go.
What do you need to confess? 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. So I said I did something at Grey Cup that I had not done in a few years.
Somebody said eat a vegetable.
No.
Vegetable.
No, I did not eat a vegetable. I had 2 carrot sticks because they came with the wings. And I always feel like when you get a bunch of wings, just so people don't look at you like a pig, you eat the carrot sticks too.
You do, eh?
No, I dip them in ranch. Oh, I tried blue cheese. That was another confession I didn't have. So I thought, because sometimes wings comes with blue cheese.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
So I thought it was ranch. I had a couple of drinks. I thought it was ranch. So I'm dipping the wings in there, and I was eating it. And I was like, this is not ranch. What is this?
Spoiled.
Why would you dunk a wing in that? That makes no sense to me. That must be like an American thing or something. Eh? Like, it can't possibly be.
It's a buffalo. Buffalo, the hot wing and the blue cheese, I think, is like that's what they do down
Sorry,
there.
not good. Not good. VR Montenegro's in the nasty chat says, Dusty, you get on the Twisted Teas?
How many of those did you suck back
in
over
fact, I didn't have a single Twisted Tea because we're so dedicated to 2 Hoots now.
Well,
what can you say?
And you drank them all in 2019. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there was really...
there were no Twisted Teas
bankrupt
left at Grey Cup because I drank them all in 2019. They haven't been able to replenish the stock yet.
I've never seen a performance such as that. Most outstanding Canadian that weekend, I think, goes to you.
At one point, I had 4 Twisted Teas in my arms.
All open.
I was double fisting. It was crazy. No, so after the Grey Cup, once all the TSN staff, it's been a long season. It's a long week. You're not really getting lit up at Grey Cup like everybody else. So you go out, have a couple drinks.
But a constant
meet
type
people.
of... Yeah.
I can't roll in, like on Saturday night, bumped into G. Roy Simon. I can't roll up to, well, actually at Grey Cup you can. I mean, certain people could roll up to G. Roy Grey Cup, completely blackout and be fine with it. I've tried to be professional.
You're trying,
calling the game on the radio. So, but after, we have a big TSN wrap party, right? So I'd screwed up the booking of my flight, and I had to leave the hotel in Hamilton at 5:15 in the morning to get to the airport, which I didn't have to, but the guy I was going with, who does listen to the show, I think he wanted to be there super early because we were like through security like 2 hours before our plane boarded, which is way too early. Anyway, we had to leave at 5:15. We didn't get back to the hotel after Grey Cup till like 10:30, and then there's like this wrap party. I didn't even get to the wrap party till 11:30. And what are you going to do? You're going to go to a wrap party for 2 hours? And then go back to your room and sleep for 3 hours and then get up and be all groggy. So I planned for the all-nighter. It's a unique thing to plan for the all-nighter. Like I used to pull off all-nighters all the time when I used to work at like Save on Foods and stuff, But I went back after Grey Cup. I packed up my bags, put them right by the door, put my jacket on. I was like, all I have to come back in, grab my bags, and get out of here.
Yep.
And then, pulled off the all-nighter on the Sunday night at Grey Cup to the point where my sleep schedule yesterday was messed because we had a good time. Nothing was too crazy. Got my bags, got in the truck that was driving us to the airport. I slept for an hour in the truck on the way to the airport. Get through security, go into the WestJet lounge, find like a little spot in the corner, set up like my one bag to like kind of block everybody, set my alarm, go back to sleep in the WestJet lounge for about an hour and a half. And I'm laying there sleeping in the WestJet lounge. And I'd set my alarm, but it was going off for like 3, 4, 5 minutes. And people are like looking around. So I wake up to my alarm. I get it. And this lady sitting across from me she goes, oh, I'm glad you're awake. She goes, I was getting worried that you're going to miss your flight because your alarm been going off like for 3 to 4 minutes. I was just like, oh, well, thanks.
She's just waiting.
Yeah, that would have been, that would have been
I'll
great.
let him on his own here.
So I slept for like an hour and 40 minutes in the WestJet lounge, got up, got on the plane, had the meal, and then like dozed off for another 2 hours on the plane, got home, saw my wife. Though my wife wasn't home, which kind of worked out well because I got home and then I went right back to sleep. So I slept in the truck on the way to the airport. I slept at the airport. I slept on the plane, and I slept for like 2.5 hours yesterday afternoon.
How did it feel, though, the moment that you made the decision, the conscious choice in your mind saying to yourself, I'm doing the all-nighter, like pulling
I
the
was set
trigger.
free.
Pulling the trigger. Like you make that decision, you know what? Make the call, and then you've got everything like that. That is a feeling.
It was great.
I can feel the feeling.
Because then you're not going into this little party with being well, I got to get out. I got to go back.
No subconscious.
It's just like, I'm here for the night. Like, and it wasn't just me. By the time I left at 5:15, there was still probably like 8 people left in the hotel room that we had, which was.
And I think you've also earned it. You've done a lot of work over the weekend.
It's been a busy year.
Yeah,
it's like the one night where everybody. It's the only time all year I get to see Rod Smith, for example, because he's always doing games and I'm always doing games.
Yeah.
So it was me and Rod at like 5:15 in the morning. Still sitting there, just talking, just having a good time. Like,
did you ever make it to the writer's room at all?
No,
during the weekend
the FRC room was like, it was like a 20-minute drive, so I didn't get out there. But it was an all-nighter. I felt pretty good about it. I was kind of tired last night.
Yeah,
but kind of early. But no, I felt really good with how I executed that bad boy. I'm looking forward to an all-nighter at the Grey Cup again next year, because that's what happens at Grey Cup. That'll be really good.
No, the Canada-Jamaica game on Friday just didn't. We tried to recreate some sort of.
There was no magic there.
Just trying to kind of is big FOMO for us out here for that one this weekend.
Morning, boys. I have a confession that I must share. I love listening to the AM Nasty after an Oilers loss. I find the entertainment priceless. Does that make me a bad person? That comes in from Straight Shooting Steve today. I don't think it makes you a bad person because I think a lot of people are that way. Like even on the postgame show. After a win, the postgame show gets like 40% of the views that it does after a loss. But that's just how fandom works.
You're a human, Straight Shooting Steve. It's a human behavior, right?
Yeah.
How big will this fire get? Throw another tire on it.
That's why you want to pop in, right? You're like, oh, I got to see it. I got to see what's happening in this situation. So, yeah, no, I appreciate the confession, but it's not just you, man.
Yeah, don't.
It's not just you. This one's in. It says, confession, I almost didn't renew my sports streaming subscription. The Oilers almost broke me. I almost swore off sports altogether. Took 3 days to decide to renew. That's in from Jason in Leduc, who almost gave up on sports because of the Edmonton
Just
Oilers.
in general, hey, like no competitions ever in his life. He does.
I feel like that's kind of unique, but I mean, sports is my life. It's our life. Like it's our work. We talk like we could never give up on sports. But I could see people being so frustrated with their team that they are off sports for a little while.
But then you find another one. And then you find another one and another one. And then before you know it, you have this harem of clubs that suck. And you're like, I need to find another one. And you keep going. And you keep chasing the dragon of success.
It was tough
it's very fun
for Marshall, who's a big time Bombers fan. As soon as Fajardo, man, huge shout out to Cody Fajardo, by the way. Like that is a legacy changing moment on the final drive of that game, considering he's 0-9 versus Zach Collaros, could never get it done with the Riders. He'll never get it done.
Fairy tale story.
Yada, yada, yada. Cody Fajardo delivers to the point where he has 3 touchdown passes, including a game winner with 11 seconds.
And Anthony Calvillo, I mean,
yeah,
let's just.
But when on 3rd and 5, when they just decide to throw it up in the one-on-one coverage to Cole Speaker, that was at that moment for my son. I was just like, oh no, Marshall's going to be devastated. So then after the game, I had to FaceTime him. He's kind of in a sad place. He's in full-blown meltdown. I said, but they could be good again next year, buddy. Like, it'll be all right.
Marshall gets no ring. I still have no chips.
Yeah, I know. He still owes you a box of chips. He's still thinking about the chips, man.
We're a year up.
No, but then, so last night, he finishes, he had basketball practice last night. We get home. He has a quick bath. And before he's hopping in the bath, I said, hey, if you have a quick bath, then come out, watch the last, 3 minutes of the hockey game. So he has a bath. He goes, he comes out. I'm getting him ready, getting him in his PJs and stuff. And he sees that they just scored that empty netter. And he goes like this. He goes, oh. He goes, my teams. I was just like, I know, man. Like, for a kid who his two favorite teams are the Oilers and the Bombers, it has been a tough 3 or 4 days for Marshall Bokeith Nielsen.
You just give him Huss's number, and they can both commiserate to themselves.
Yeah,
hey,
you and Huss.
Rough week.
Yeah. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. All right, you can keep those text messages rolling in here anytime. 780-218-9999.
Sailor asking too. Bo Levi, little Bo Levi love over the weekend. Did you get
Bo was great.
Yeah, you get some chances to work and hang out with him.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was originally going to be on that Grey Cup Saturday panel,
right?
But he wasn't.
Yeah.
So I didn't get as much time to hang out with Bo as previous Grey Cups.
But you liked the panel, the Saturday panel. That was
it was fun. It was weird hosting. It's like can't be as chill as this.
Yeah.
Have to wear a suit and sit up straight and stuff. I hate that stuff. But
the posture was great. There was that side angle shot.
I tried because of the side angle. I was like, oh man, I gotta sit up like this. Imagine having to do a whole show sitting up like this for 4 hours in a suit. Like, I'll do it again if they offer it to me again, but it's not my cup of tea, Like, anyway, there's your confessions for Spectrum Rental.
Oilers, Elks, Steelers, Blue Jays, and Penn State fan. I don't know what to think anymore. That text flies in from Morgan.
Look, man,
it's rough when you got the full five and they're all like, not doing anything at certain points, eh?
As a Detroit Lions fan, I don't have sympathy for anybody. I became a fan when they sucked.
You've been through
and
the
they
desert.
basically sucked up until midway through last season. So you just have to grind it out. Jonathan is in it. Says Marshall became smoking Ben Affleck in that moment where it's just oh, poor kid. Like he became a fan of the Bombers after they won their second one. And now he's just had two. And you know how it is as a kid. It took me back to it's everything to you. Right? Like that morning he's got his Colares jersey. Tammy sent me pictures. He's got his Bombers football. He's like, this is going to be amazing. She said, even when up until the moment that Jamison Sheen kicked it on whatever they were trying to do at the end of the game. He still was like, I think Zach can do it.
Hook and ladder.
I think you can do it, mommy. And then it was just like,
well, it's a weird for you as a father now. Where do you go from here? Because does he now chase that success? Like if he's kickoff next season and he's all of a sudden learn French and walking around your household with an Alouettes jersey on, that's...
Oh, that won't happen.
You can't be doing that. But you got to stick with your teams, right? They got to ride it out. There's good times and there's bad times.
He will. He hates Chad Kelly. So it's not like the Argos.
I love it.
They won and he flipped to the Argos. I told him, I said, after the awards, I FaceTimed him. I said, hey, how's it going? He goes, good. He goes, who won MOP? I said, Chad Kelly. He goes, oh, hate Chad Kelly. Brady Oliveira should have won it. I have raised an 8-year-old hardcore CFL fan, which I'm extremely proud of.
I hate Chad Kelly.
But Marshall hates Chad Kelly.
I love it.
He just hates him, which is it's funny. It's funny. This guy's in and says Oilers, Elks, Jays, and Chargers fan here.
Hey.
Being a fan can be really hard sometimes. Yeah, that's a tough one. Who's got the worst combination of sports fans?
Let's have a little pissing contest. Yeah.
I mean, many of you are Oilers fans, sure. But do you also cheer for other teams that constantly can't get it done too?
Show us your worst.
It's not like a Wannick, right? A Wannick front runs with the Yankees.
He's a front runner. Yeah. United.
Everybody. Yeah, it's different. That's a different way to go about it. 780-218-9999. This one's in, says, hey, I'm a Bombers fan as well. It's been 48 hours, and it still stings. Well, let's get into that game. We haven't dove into the game. I'm sure you guys talked about the game quite a bit.
We did.
Yesterday. But, my goodness, man. For the Montreal Alouettes just put together one of the most fabulous runs in CFL history.
8 straight, 9 straight. Yeah.
They were 7 in a row coming in, and now the 7 in a row, I was doubting because it was Hamilton twice, it was Edmonton, it was Ottawa twice, it was Calgary. Like, it was not a great, but then it's Toronto convincingly, very convincingly, and then you go into this game against Winnipeg, and they win it in a fashion that would have been the last way you thought they would have won that game. Like, the Montreal Alouettes, everybody, myself included, was going, well, if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to score a special teams touchdown or a defensive touchdown. They didn't. All that ended up happening was William Stanback ran for a 32-yard touchdown, and Cody Fajardo threw for almost 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes. He did have an interception, which was actually just a phenomenal play by Evan Holm. But I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned.
Well, I think Montreal did what they needed to do, and the formula was, the defensive line, which I really liked. I think they bent but didn't break at times. This was a game that they kept close. And they kept it close in a fashion that when you get to the fourth quarter, now it's in a business. I do find that not being able to punch it in prior to halftime there, that to me, I was like, well, this is a turning point.
I thought that was
it. That could sink you here. And Winnipeg was getting some favorable calls as well. And you just kind of, you're starting to feel, okay, I see what's coming. But they kept it close. And then you keep it close in a neutral one-off championship game going down to the end, and anything can happen. But you mentioned, I don't think anybody had Fajardo going out and doing what he did. Now, again, I want to, and I didn't hear his name hardly mentioned at all, but credit to Anthony Calvillo. And I think that's the X factor. We talk about Moss, we talk about Fajardo in their positions last year. Well, Moss is now a head coach, which, again, he's a great motivator. But he was calling the plays last year, and Fajardo had a bum knee last year. So a healthy Fajardo now, they're winning at the right time. It's one thing to win 8 straight in June or July or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that you can do that all season long.
The last team to do this was the 15 Elks.
Right, but doing this at
Eskimos
the end
the
of the season, that's where you need to be doing it. And Fajardo, again, healthy. He's got that underdog mentality that they cultivated. I think Moss fits that role as well. Fajardo, obviously, he's been a mercenary around the league. BC gave up on him. Toronto gave up on both. Toronto gave up on Claris twice. So again, so this was fit for the scene, and it was fit for the moment for that underdog, the plucky underdog, to come up and steal one, I guess, if you will, over the Bombers. And yeah, that final sequence there and again, I think the Montreal defensive line made a key stop as well prior to Fajardo making that comeback. In the moment, again, they bent but they didn't break, and they kept it close. And Fajardo did. But again, he was a goalpost away from beating the Bombers in a West Final, probably going to a Grey Cup that year, probably winning it. This Bombers team, we were talking dynasty and all that. There's been a bit of luck involved as well with them. They haven't been going out and really flexing a muscle and just pounding teams on the way to these 4 Grey Cup appearances. So,
the last 2 Grey Cups, Zach Collaros doesn't have a touchdown.
And I know he was hurt last year. That was this year full
up.
health. But it was an interesting storyline in a Grey Cup game and a final that will go down. What are you, top 10 or what?
Automatically top 10, maybe as high as top 5.
Right,
or 6,
like I don't know all of them to kind of build a.
But when the Bombers, the Bombers got the ball back with less than 3 minutes to go, and you're like, okay, well they'll just seal this away now. Like that's the end of it.
That's the NFL maybe, not the CFL.
And then the Alouettes stop them and get it back, and even at that time, and that was way down the field too. I was like, Bombers defense will make a play here, but Fajardo just, what was it? The one was 2nd and 20. And he ran for 18 yards, put them in a real reasonable spot.
Yep.
Cody Fajardo changed the way he will be viewed forever in the Canadian Football League. Anytime you look at it and go, well, Fajardo couldn't get it done there, you say, well, you know what he got it done? He got it done in the second half against a team that had been to 4 straight Grey Cups and against a quarterback that he had never beaten in his entire career. That's an all-time legacy-changing moment.
Is it a one-off? Or is this something they build up in Montreal for, say, now a Bombers type of run where they kind of keep the band together for a year or 2, 3 maybe, and maybe make one more appearance? Like, I'm not saying that this is now. 4 straight's tough to do in any league. But is this the height that Cody Fajardo reaches here, or perhaps is there something more? Does he get back in another thing? Do you see the continuation of this?
Fair question. I think if they keep their defense together, the Alouettes will be a really good team again. Offensively, I think you made the best point in that Anthony Calvillo. They dialed up an offense in that game where I think the way they approached it allowed them to take some deeper shots. And then their guys made plays. Austin Mack made a couple of just ridiculous plays in that game.
Well, you're going that deep on third, whatever. If you don't make the connection,
it's over.
It's a dumb play.
They screened the Bombers to death.
Dinkin
How many
and
of those
Duncan,
games? Cody Fajardo into the flat, couple of screens, 8 yards. Cody Fajardo quickly the other way. It was It was a masterful game plan from Anthony Calvillo. So if they can put it together, Smitty the Welder's in and says, no more dynasty talk. If they would have won 3 of 4, I was ready to declare it a dynasty on the call. If they win 3 of 5, even though they got to the other 2 Grey Cups, I don't think you could have a dynasty that lost 2 championship games along the way. I don't think you can.
We're kind of abusing the word at that point,
Yeah.
perhaps a little bit, but
I think so. But in the end, just an absolutely phenomenal.
And Danny Machocha as well, doing what he did in Montreal with the Caravan at the university level.
Yeah.
And now building a team that hoists the Grey Cup. So credit there as well.
Congratulations to the Montreal Alouettes. It was an absolute pleasure to call that game on radio stations, including 6:30 Ched right here in
Yeah, how did
Edmonton.
that feel?
What a time to be alive. Oh, yeah, I finally made it. I was really excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I walked around all day pretending to be Morley. This is Morley. Who I love. Morley's such a good dude. It was awesome. All right, let's do this. We need somebody right now to play Kind of Easy Trivia. If you'd like to play it today, we do have a gift certificate to Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual. Simple enough. All you have to do is text in right now to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, and ask YouTube Trev to pick you to play today. Just text in and say, hey, Trev, pick me. I'd like to play. Give me that Mr. Mike's, however you want to do it. Be known at 780-218-9999. We will play Kind of Easy Trivia. 3 questions too many. Joaquin Gage still to come. And your thoughts on what's next for the Edmonton Oilers. They've made the coaching change. They still can't beat a good hockey team to save their lives. Are they just a bad team? Are they a middling team that is just not getting the job done right now? I don't think there's anybody out there that could possibly, in their mind, think they're still a really good hockey team. That can't be the case. I mean, if you do, please let us know, because I would love to have that conversation with you. Let's get to a sports update for United Sport and Cycle with Lieutenant Eric.
Oilers dropping another one on their 4-game East Coast trip, a 5-3 decision of the Panthers. Connor McDavid with a pair of goals in the loss. Kelvin Pickard stopping 27 of 31 shots faced as the Oilers visit Carolina tomorrow. Edmonton 11 points through 17 games thus far. No games in the National Hockey League tonight. Over to the NFL off the field this morning. Steelers firing offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Pittsburgh third in the AFC North with a 6-4 record. Last night, the Eagles had rallied to beat the Chiefs 21-17. You can join me Thursday down at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. It'll be the Packers visiting the Lions. The Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino Fort Road, where every day is game day. Raptors visit the Magic tonight for NBA in-season tournament group play. It's one of 5 games on the schedule. And Canada's men's soccer team will look to advance to the semis of the CONCACAF Nations League this evening. They host Jamaica down in Toronto. Kickoff 5:30. Canada holding a 2-1 aggregate lead. Sports update for United Sport and Cycle, supporting hockey in your community for over 95 years.
I've got something under my skin, and the itch won't go away. It's my original sin, the poison that I crave. Come along for the ride, I'd make you feel better. Cut the rope that I tied, but then I broke my skin again. You got me fiending for that first high, but the feeling's not the same. You got me stealing, killing, I die, just to feel you in my veins.
That is Edmonton Sports Talk House Band, Whale and the Wolf. Check it out if you're not yet subbed to them on Spotify. You are missing out. The boys, they don't miss.
New Christmas sweater as well out for them. So
I saw
will
saw
say
that
no
they
more.
were putting
I'll say
a
no more,
Christmas sweater out there. That was pretty good. I like that. Hey, it's no 6 o'clock or check-in song, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Although they would a cover of that would slap, would it not?
That would be pretty. Actually, yeah, that would be good.
Run
The
that
boys
past
could
the
do
boys.
it.
Oh,
They could do that.
absolutely, yeah.
Joaquin Gage is going to pop by here in about 20 minutes. We'll get his thoughts. We haven't even talked about Pickard really yet that much. We'll get into that with Gager, get his thoughts on it. Alan is in and says, Dusty, your call on the radio was riveting. Thank you. It's a lot different calling a game on the radio than it is on TV. It took me a little bit in the first quarter, I'll admit it, to kind of get into that radio groove again because like people aren't watching, right? So you have to be a little bit extra descriptive. I was working with Marshall Ferguson, who, as a former university quarterback, has like a great mind for the game, man.
Yes.
And he was just breaking it down excellently. All the different reads and things. He was terrific. So it was a really fun game to call. And like I always say, man, you can only get excited if the product in front of you is exciting. And the Canadian Football League just delivers, I think, the most exciting sport to call on the planet. It's
But
just
sometimes
insane.
the chef does make the dish taste a little more palatable. In your case, I mean, you can just
See, that's weird to me because I just like plain things to eat. You know, like I don't care
from
what
my
type of
point
chef's doing it.
I mean, your final, it was the Dynasty Denied, and I'm paraphrasing, by the Miracle Men of Montreal.
Did you like that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
How could you not? I mean, it's better than your Grey Cup champion, the Owls.
Yeah, I like to crank it up a notch.
It's
championship moments.
It was
so,
welcome.
You know, so sometimes I'll prep for I don't prep a lot of sayings. I just usually comes naturally, but at the end, for a Grey Cup,
You
got
need
to
a
come up
bullet
with
for
something.
each, right? Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was gonna say if the Bombers won, it was gonna be Dynasty delivered. They've done it. But then when the Alouettes started on that last drive, I'm like, oh man, what am I gonna say?
Did you have anything from Montreal?
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
Wow.
So I was like, man, I got to come up with something. And then I still like the Dynasty sort of line. So I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'll tie them both together. So yeah, it was the drive to a dynasty is dead as the Miracle Men of Montreal, blah, 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 blah. And I thought it worked out.
That's
I thought
really good.
I like the alliteration, man. It's like, that's where good calls come.
Little Tales of the Northy, if you will. Hey,
Yeah, the Miracle Men of Montreal. That would have been something else. But I thought it was. I mean, they knocked off the 16-win Argos.
Nobody had it.
Came from behind, down 10 in the second half against the Bombers, who'd been there 4 times.
I think Chris O'Leary was the only one to predict this drive. Hey, his picks throughout the season. I mean, that guy's a risky boy.
Oh, O'Leary, yeah, I saw him. I said, hey, look, I didn't have time to talk
I
to
love
him.
it.
I love Grey Cup. You get to see everybody. It's fun. All right, who's going to play Kind of Easy Trivia today?
Yeah, we've got Gord.
Gord is going to play today, looking to get his hands on a gift certificate from Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual, the casualest place ever. We're talking of all time in the Hampton Inn on the corner of 137th Ave and Mark Messier Trail, and a brand new location out in Fort Sask as well. So you got that classic Mike burger on the menu out there. I don't know, was it Savage? Saw somebody while I was away was at Mr. Mike's.
Yes.
And they got the sirloin bites and they were loving them.
Yeah, and a couple tropical drinks. He lived a life that
It
afternoon.
looked real
Savage
nice,
did,
yeah. All right, let's go to Gord this morning. Gord, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm fired up. Let's do this.
Oh, good. I'm fired up too now, Gord. Your energy has now led to more energy for us, which is outstanding. Here we go. I'll start the ticker after I read the first question. You need 3 of 5 correct, okay?
Let's do this.
Here we go. Did the Edmonton Oilers win last night?
They did not.
Which Oilers scored a goal on a penalty shot?
Connor.
What position does Calvin Pickard play?
He's a career backup goalie.
Which team won the NFL Monday Nighter?
Not the Oilers.
How many Kelsey brothers played in the NFL game last night? You got it. You got it. You're good. Too many.
Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Get it right.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
That's a paddling.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules.
Oh, you better believe that's a paddling.
And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
That's a paddling.
The first year we took it to the limit.
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
Congratulations to a guy who I'm sure his friends call him Gordo.
That was not that to me is the receiver running to the end zone and dropping the ball at the 1.
Yeah.
Preparing to celebrate. He said Connor. There's 2 Connors on the team.
Let's be honest.
Well, hey,
do we actually think Connor Brown's going to score at any point?
Well,
this
do we
season?
have rules with this game or not? I'm just saying. And then he kind of goes on to be. It doesn't matter who played in this and that, and I don't know.
Greg's in and says Gord's energy did not meet his effort. But well job anyways.
Yeah, I think that's an apt description of the affair.
780-218-9999. Kyle in the nasty chat says, who was feeding Gord lines?
Yeah, there was a bit of a delay. Hey,
well, he got it done. I thought it was. Well done. Man, why are people on Gord today?
Well, because Connor. There's another Connor.
Well, Connor
so that's
did
like,
score. He didn't say.
Well, but like yes,
it just said which Oilers scored on a penalty shot last night.
Could have been Connor Brown.
But he said Connor. The correct answer is Connor, no matter who it was. Right. So
I'm just saying, like
it's a Tuesday.
It's a win,
Let's go easy on Gord here.
Yeah.
Gord wins kind of easy trivia. And Lieutenant Eric is sitting here saying, I'm not sure Gord actually won kind of easy trivia. Here's Gord right now.
That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
Yes, it is. Tombstone Tuesdays. Right here.
Happy Tombstone Tuesday.
We got any huckleberries out there? You huckleberry.
You got any huckleberries?
Oh, how lewd.
Every Tuesday, you got to start the show. We got any huckleberries?
I watched 11 minutes of Doc Holliday clips on YouTube last night. And, yeah, I like the one he's sitting there with his girlfriend or whatever at the table, and he goes, how lewd. Hey, if we did a draft of all movie characters, I would take Doc Holliday first overall.
Just straight up.
I think it would win it. I honestly think it would win it. Absolutely amazing character. I saw somebody sliding in the nasty chat. Hey, I'm just here to see if they fired the coach again.
Yeah, we don't need to. I mean, that.
No, but the question today, we have a couple questions for you today. 780-218-9999. That'll get you straight into the Paris Jewelers inbox at 780-218-9999. Of course, you could win the text of the day, which would be very nice for you. Paris Jewelers, locally family-owned business that was started in Edmonton. Now has 22 stores across Canada. Do not pay. This is insane. Do not pay until 2025 with the flexible financing options. This is like me trading last week my first overall pick in the 2026 fantasy draft for Austin Eckler, which I thought was a pretty good pickup. But like that's insane. Just pushing it out to 2025. I love it.
If the world ends by then, you're not paying at all. You're basically stealing for free.
Anytime you push something 14 months down the road, you're like, there's a chance here that
we may not even be around.
There's been some sort of thing happen to the planet, and we're all living on Mars.
Just do it, right? Like,
yeah, they got the new holiday collection out over at Paris Jewelers as well, and a portion of all the sales from the holiday collection will be donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Canada. And also, how about this? They've got the new Marvel Fine Jewelry collection in stores featuring pieces inspired by your favorite Marvel characters, which include Spider-Man, Iron Man, Black Panther, The Avengers, and more at www.parisjewelers.com. Nerds, this is where you finally have a chance. Like, nerds for years have walked around not wearing any jewelry because, you know, they're nerds. But now you can walk around wearing Marvel jewelry.
Yeah, like a Venom necklace.
Yes.
I want Venom with the tongue.
Yeah, that'd be cool, actually.
Great initiative as well with the charitable and great people. I can say that from experience, and I will say no more.
There you go. You're giving away way too much.
What am I supposed to do?
I mean, don't say anything.
I can't resist.
All right, let's get into 3 questions too many, brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda. Lieutenant Eric, did you have a liner for the segment today?
3 questions too many, brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda and dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, who thinks Gord had a very Evan Bouchard performance to kind of easy trivia this morning. Park Mazda, your dealer for life.
Wait, so he was great offensively? But then puts them in a hole.
He provided the
look, you guys,
the push, but it was the
Bouchard is brilliant because he's generating his own ice time by allowing goals against, knowing that they need him out there to score goals to tie back up. It's really an all-time strategy move.
The arsonist firefighter here. Yeah, that's what he's coming.
I mean, that's a good example of it. It's a really good example of it, actually. I like that. Hey, if you're looking for a place to watch the next game, Boston Pizza, Kingsway, tomorrow, the EST crew will be there.
Yep.
It's going to be a really good time. And you know what? I'll say this. They're due for a dub. The last time we had a party, they won.
Actually.
Remember that? They won big time. That was...
the last time
they lost.
No,
I jinxed
Minnesota
it.
Game.
That was on me. I jinxed it.
Yeah.
They had a great start. Then I said, they're going to wrap it up. And then they blew.
We need more in-house EST parties.
They
That
won
was the
that
national
one.
game.
That was
We're
the
1-0.
national game.
We're undefeated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's-
Chris, do you have a Twitter account?
It's at Lieutenant_Eric. You can follow me on Twitter. Hey, we got the gang together last night at the Central Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. You see that nice picture? That was a good one. I'm holding hands.
I didn't see this picture. Where is it? On Twitter?
At Lieutenant_Eric. You can find me on Twitter.
I wonder if I have you muted.
Thanks to Chilo for the well, probably. I mean, I could, it's all those.
My mute list is very surprising.
The mute list it helps you out a lot. I also put out a poll this morning. You can vote on that, and I also threw out a GIF. A very happy Tombstone Tuesday to you as well. It's a GIF of your boy there saying, "Isn't that a daisy?"
Oh, you're a daisy if you do.
Daisy.
Oh, that's a nice crew there.
Isn't that great? And
Basement Frank's there.
Yeah, Basement Frank was there last night. Yeah, he was talking about.
How did I just find out in this picture that Basement Frank was there?
He actually he won the square board last night.
Of course he did.
Yeah. So you see me holding Carson's hand though. We were very.
Oh yeah.
He's got his romance novel in his
He's
other
the guy
hand.
who reads romance novels.
Yeah, he's a legend, man. Yeah, Susan, Dez, Tube Socks.
Is that the first time the Basement Frank
the
has been there?
Arsenals? Yes. His uncle, though, usually comes the horse racing, right? In the
okay.
ponies. But he, yeah.
Man, Basement Frank is a legend.
Yeah, good to see everybody
I was
out
just
there last
talking
night.
yesterday about somebody else. We're like, yeah, neither of us have seen Basement Frank in a long time. And then there you were, last night with Basement Frank.
Yeah, that's funny how
That's
that works,
pretty cool. Anyway, give him a follow, Lieutenant_Eric. And what's our station account?
At YEG Sports Talk. That's YEG Sports Talk. You can follow us on Twitter as well. You might as well. That's if you're on Twitter, you might as well be following the station account to keep up with everything going on station-wise.
It just makes sense.
It just makes sense.
It just makes sense. All right, let's get into it. Question number one. All right, here we go. With 2 games left, is this road trip already a failure? Can they still salvage this, I guess?
Well,
is
I
what
think
this person is
people
asking.
wanted what? Like the consensus prediction or answer was 2-1-1?
That's the 5, right? Which, that being said, getting 5 of a possible 8 points for this team isn't good enough for what they need right now.
No, so... Yeah, fail. And I think stylistically, right, getting those early leads.
It's a failure. This road trip is already a failure. Even if they win the next 2 games, they're coming back 2-2, and you can always say, oh, solid road trip. Go out there 2-2, but not when you're down in the spot that the Oilers are in right now. They needed more than this, and they've blown a couple. And to me, that means that you cannot salvage this thing. I mean, you can salvage it to the point of at least it wasn't an all-time disaster.
Yeah, to what grade you're. Yeah, I mean, if
they lose one of the next 2 though, and they're coming back with 2 points, the road trip was a bloody disaster. It was on par for the season so far. So, yeah, I think the road trip's already a failure. Question number 2. Oh, this is a good one. What do you want to see at halftime for the Grey Cup in Vancouver? And remember,
we went over this yesterday as well.
Did you?
And it's a great exercise. You could ask this question every day leading up to the Grey Cup next year. And you mentioned do. With what they did in Vancouver and what they've kind of built there, I'm expecting something big.
Mr. Lean, nice haircut, buddy. Guys, you see that haircut on this guy?
How chipper he is too.
Mr. Lean just we've been here for what, 2 months now. I've been here a few times when he's walked in, like the odd time, and never smiles ever. Even Trev was like, "Holy smokes!"
He waved.
Matt has teeth.
Smiled.
That was wild. It's way different when you have to come in at 8:18 than 5:18.
That's what a night at the Central Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, Central Casino Fort Road will do to you. Hey, Matty.
This is what happens when you hang out with Basement Frank.
Yeah, baby. Large red.
Had the
Yeah,
pizza.
had the
He was
pizza,
loving
exactly.
it.
Swollen members.
Wow, Swollen members are like a festival.
They're doing the
Lions Den.
Shaggy Spar.
They're doing Lions Den or the awards or something.
Well, then who you got? Like,
No, this is here's
Swift.
This is honestly how I feel. Amar Dolman will get whoever he wants. Like, money's not an issue. Like, this guy is going to deliver. I'll call my shot right now. And we've seen what? Bieber. We've seen some big names. Green Day was great. Outside of Taylor Swift, I'm pretty sure Amar Dolman could get anybody in the world to come and play halftime at the Grey Cup. So I mean, we were joking on Saturday that he's the guy who finally brings Tupac back from the island he's been hiding on for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And that's revealed at
So
Grey
it's
Cup.
not necessarily a band, maybe an artist. Or maybe it's something that he brings back. Like, what
Greg
route
says,
do you go?
Greg's in there says Timberlake. I honestly believe he could probably get Justin Timberlake to do halftime at the Grey Cup. Now, Timberlake's not where he was.
That's what I'm saying.
When
Does
he was
that
in
hit?
sexy
Yeah,
back era.
Like, what is the hit
I've seen
nowadays?
people mocking Timberlake recently because he's not like as thin and jacked as he used to be, and he's still doing sweet dance moves, so it kind of looks hilarious. But still,
time takes no prisoners.
I honestly think he'll be able to get everybody. It's going to be awesome.
But I just wonder for next year, like who's hitting? Who are the kids? Because we hear so much about Grey Cup. Did you placate to the fan today? Do you try to suck in that youth group, right? Like kind of getting in the fan of tomorrow? Like, are you going with a young, iHeartRadio type of, hey, is so-and-so pop star from Quebec? Or do you go to the tried and true, some sort of group that we all love, we all know the songs? Like, what's the route here? I know Doman can get whatever he wants, but what do you bring in, like Metallica? Could you imagine like a heavy, like what genre are you even thinking here? Is it some sort of, is it a solo artist? Do you go the band route? Maybe bring on a magician. Maybe you say screw everything else that's happened before, and it's a comedian. It's like a ventriloquist half the time. I don't know. He'll dream big for sure.
Penn and Teller.
What hits? What hits with the youth?
I think
Springsteen. Does that?
I don't know. I feel like people are saying Drake.
Yeah, well,
like I bet you he could get Drake. I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh my God, Drake. I don't really listen to Drake, but
he's an East Coast guy though. Would he perform on the West Coast? I don't know. Is it?
All right, question number 3. Hey guys, any thoughts on what's happening between Tim Peel and Mark Spector?
No comment.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with what happened between Spector, did you see this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
didn't see it until this morning.
Tough look for everybody involved.
So Tim Peel. Well, I'm not going to side with here either because it's Tim Peel, but this is what happens when you call it an Edmonton reporter for asking Connor McDavid if he'd rather win 4-1. An idiotic question. Of course they would. This is why some players don't want to play in Canada. Connor played his ass off tonight. Hashtag Let's Go Oilers. So that's from Tim Peel, former NHL official. Wasn't great at his job, but former NHL official. So then Spec slides into his DMs and says, thanks for piling on. I'll remember that next time you F up. Peel goes, well, it's a stupid question. Of course they'd like to win 4-1. And then Spec goes, you refs never have the balls to answer a question for your bleep-ass work, and you're critiquing me. Peel goes, quit being so sensitive.
We should have done characters here. We could have done like a reenactment.
And he says, yeah, grow some. Yeah, you want to do that?
If you want.
Sure.
I mean, I can. Who do you
want to be? Do you
want to
be Spec?
Sure, whatever.
I'll be Spec.
Okay.
I'll be Spec. Thanks for piling on, Tim. I'll remember that next time you F up. Oh, do you have the script?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a stupid question. Of course they'd like to win 4-1.
You refs have never had the balls to answer a question for your shut-ass work. And you're critiquing me?
Quit being so sensitive.
You did that well.
And
then turn the page. It's back to you again. Yeah.
Grow some balls, Mark. Never played the game.
Oh, you love that. Never. Sorry, I got out of script there.
That's a secret weapon there.
Being around it long enough to know a horseshit ref when I see one, Tim. I've been very good to read for my whole career. 35 years. Thanks for noticing.
You've always been a fricking fraud, buddy. And it's not fricking, it's the other way. With you.
This is quite the scene, man.
Swearing and calling out the...
Oh, YouTube Trev, you're a young man. What do you think of this?
Yeah, well, so was that leaked or like...
No, Tim Peel tweeted it out.
He just posted... Wow.
Just the DM's out there.
Man, I mean...
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know.
He's celebrating like he won the Heisman Trophy this morning.
Tim Peel tweeting out DMs is a little greasy.
Yeah, that's pretty childish.
I could have tweeted out some pretty good DMs over the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh, you write
from
the book
people as well.
Write the book.
But during the Yesapol Yarvi era, I could have probably tweeted out a few different DM conversations with people in the market. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of greasy to send out like. This is why Peel's a clown too, you know. Like
it's a tough look all around.
Yeah,
Another day in
a tough
Edmonton
look.
covering the hockey team.
Specs Specs getting tired of everybody piling on. I totally get it where Specs coming from. And Spec and I have a love-hate relationship. Like I get along with Spec, but we've also wanted to punch each other in the face a couple of times. So I mean, it's going to happen. Tim Peel just decided to out the DMs, I guess. I mean, I find the entire thing highly entertaining.
Oh yeah, it's the popcorn gift.
I
right?
can see why it's a major issue. But yeah, tough look for everybody involved. What are you gonna do? Anyway, there you go. That's 3 questions today, brought to you by the great staff at Mazda.
But at least they didn't.
I see why Spec wants to stand up for himself. Right. It's a tough look when the other guy decides to out you on the DMs.
But at least they didn't lock and delete their Twitter accounts this morning, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got a lot of time for the Tim Peel, Mark Spector celebrity boxing match, to be honest with you.
Round 2, ding ding, right?
That would be good. That would be good. I know Spec's got some frustrations to take out people. Probably want to punch Tim Peel in the face, and Tim Peel, I don't know where you would come out on that side.
For charity.
Of course, it's for charity.
It's all good. We raise tons of money.
It have to be for charity.
And all have a good time.
Yeah. Anyway,
everybody wins.
This is just the beginning, man. Like, if the Oilers continue to play this way, there's going to be tons of interesting
leaked DMs. Yeah.
DMs. Yeah. All right. Let's bring in Joaquin Gage. Joaquin Gage pops by, as always, for Pro-Am Sports. They've got that huge sale coming up on Saturday. In-store only, 11 to 4. The Gager!
You guys are teammates. Pitmates here.
They're Pit Stop Pals.
Yeah.
Back for one more ride. Gager, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. No, I saw you were wearing yours.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.
Well, we haven't brought up the race at all since you've been back. I think maybe we just use this whole segment to discuss
we'll
Vegas.
Start there. I mean, we can start there because we can spend the next 20 minutes after that talking about the Oilers. Gager, seeing what happened with the F1 in Vegas, does it make you almost want to go more next year because it'll be cheaper for us to get down there? We can actually
just wait till the last minute.
You never get. It's the same thing where haters are the ones that are vocal online. Those who praise things, and outside of, the biggest hater of the entire event was Max Verstappen, but I don't know. Part of me's like, now I can probably get down there next year because I can afford it. So I'm almost kind of happy with how it went.
To be honest, Dusty, like I told you before, people like the F1 community that I'm a huge part of, they told me not to go. Like everyone said, don't go to the first race at a new venue because there's going to be a lot of nails or manholes blowing off the road, let's so to speak, right? So, but the thing was, like with all the things that went wrong off the track, the race itself was arguably the best race of the season. Like I think there was over 80 overtakes throughout the whole race, 5 lead changes. Like this was an unbelievable race to actually watch, and right to the end, seeing Leclerc just get Checo on the last lap again. Like I think it's the evolution of these cars. They are closing the gap that's causing it to be a lot more competitive. What's really fascinating over the weekend is I heard that Red Bull is scrapping this whole concept of this car and going for a complete new direction for next year, which I think it's, I don't know. I think that's crap.
Why would you scrap a car that's basically won every single race for the last year and a half?
Because when the rule changes come in again in a few years, they want to hit the ground running that way, I guess, again. So I don't know. I didn't believe it. The biggest thing I took from the weekend is I'm older than Christian Horner, which was, our lives are parallel to a point. Sure, he's a team principal and I'm not, but we both married spicy girls. Yeah, his was a spicy girl and mine's spicy with the red hair.
Joaquin Gage with us. Just sticking with the F1 here for a second. Where do you come out on Verstappen being the face of the sport, just tearing down this event? Like this would be like Connor McDavid coming out and actually heavily criticizing openly the National Hockey League. Is it different just because we kind of expect that from the way that the F1 media and the players are so available, or their drivers are so available at all the time? Or should we still look at it and be like, man, that's a pretty harsh critique?
Well, Max it seems like he hates everything that's not the exact, like the old school essence of F1, right? He had 3 practices, qualifying, and a race. He's been quite vocal about sprint races, how he doesn't like that format. From the parade beforehand, going around, like he wants to just go there, get in the car, race, and go home. That's who Max is. He's not he doesn't like a lot of the stuff away. We know what he thinks about the Netflix show, but the fact is, like, that F1's never been bigger. Like, you saw what they were able to do. I don't think they should have it at night again, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I think during the day in November is fine. It did add a little bit more because of the weather and keeping the tire temperatures where they could grab some grip. But man, for the race itself, like I said, it was an unbelievable race to watch. They're definitely going to get some of the things that went wrong this year. They're going to iron those out and make it even a bigger, better spectacle. I don't know if you watched the opening ceremonies of the whole thing, but it was an amazing show.
That was the Vegas level opening ceremonies, right? Like
it was unbelievable, and just to have the sphere there and going around and doing all those other things, the lights of Vegas. I enjoyed watching it. I know for Max, he doesn't care because he's already won too. I'm sure if it was a closer point battle, he would have, and he was behind, he would have liked that extra race to try to get ahead in the championship for sure. But to him, he's already looking towards next year.
Joaquin, your quick thoughts on the Martin Brundle Vegas experience and his walk kind of upstream through the strip there.
Yeah, it was. I watched both. It's. I love how his interaction with people, because I'm not sure everyone knows who he is, but he's getting more recognizable too, right?
Yeah,
people are kind of like, can't wait to talk to him as well. So I hope that doesn't change. I love when he goes up to people and gets their name wrong and stuff. I think that's great.
yeah, that's great.
Just be who you are, man. Be who you are. Dustin Nielson and Lieutenant Eric with Joaquin Gage. All right, let's flip over to the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get into this game, but we have not really dove into Pickard yet. Again, we'll do it a little bit deeper even on two guys and a goalie later on today, especially since there's no games in the National Hockey League tonight. Gager, what'd you think of his start?
It was okay. It looked like, a guy that hadn't played in 16 days. You know what I liked? I liked the way that he was able to locate loose pucks and smother them up and just get quick whistles. He made some good saves, and he took a couple goals away early, which was like,
yep.
Oh, those are the types of saves that Oilers have been looking for in crucial parts of the game. But just the improper game management rears its head again. You have to, when you're in a situation the Oilers are in, where you're struggling for any sort of points or wins, you have to realize the situation of the game itself. Evander Kane's been, I'd say he's been their best player so far this year. He's been playing great, but you're up 2-0. And he does need to play on an edge, but you got to read the situation. Your team's hasn't won. You're on a losing streak here. That's not the start you want. And you go take kind of a real dumb penalty. And usually, most times rather than not, when you do take a penalty like that, the other team always seems to score on the power play. That gave the Panthers a little bit more juice. And before you know it, they just they let a team that they had against the ropes back into the game and let them think that they could win, and you just can't do that with the way the Oilers are playing right now.
Well, when you say the way that they're playing right now, Gage, we were asking this morning, they've got 5 wins. The wins are against Seattle, the Islanders, the Flames, and the Preds. None of those teams would be described as good hockey teams this year, so they haven't beaten a good hockey team just yet. Is this a bad team, or is it like a middle of the pack team that's just been making some mistakes? I don't think anybody puts them up at that elite level like we had coming into the season, but that's kind of the conversation that's at, right?
A texter also had 2 words. Is it inability or unwillingness? And that's kind of the overall too. Can it be changed somehow, or is this just what it is, what we're looking at right now, and there's no sense in trying to change it because it won't be changed?
Well, we've seen it that it does change, right? We've seen players play a certain way that is properly structured defensively. I find the Oilers, their inability to make it difficult on the other teams to have success is mind-boggling to me. I don't know why all of a sudden the recognition of certain plays during the game on the ice, it's just completely something that you would never do as a professional player, if you're going to play the scoreboard, especially in certain points, right? Do I think they're? That's a good question. I wonder, Dusty, if I look back to the year that Cam Talbot had, where he was an all-star essentially. Right? He was
he was top 5 in Vezina voting.
Yeah, it's like and he just covered up so many mistakes that the Oilers had, and I wonder if, to an extent, Stuart Skinner is all-star season, and the Oilers power play, and you sprinkle in one ridiculous season from a player, and not too shabby of a season for another guy, just was able to cover up so many deficiencies in the Oilers game that just masked these things that needed to be corrected, but you didn't think there was a problem that was going to be there. And now that's really, you see, they don't have the all-star goalie. Connor and Leon are not even close to the players that they were last year. And you have a power play that's, 22%, I think it's almost 10% less than what was last year. So those are 3 areas that I think if you were to implement them into last night's game, the Oilers win, right? They get up by a couple goals, and usually they go on the power play and you
seal it away, and it's game over.
And you get a couple more saves from your goalie. So I think we're seeing just the progression of players that they thought they were going to get, and they're not getting from the players that they hoped from, but they're not getting them from the guys that it was expected of.
Yeah, it's almost like full blown last year. They just literally outscored all of their organizational development issues. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good they were offensively last year.
How many times in a game, it's the same as this year, they would get up by a 2, the other team would kind of come back in, and then they'd go on, they'd get a power play goal, another power play goal. It masked those mistakes, because you just forgot about them because you were scoring so much.
Power play you brought up, and we tried to dive into it a little bit. I threw the question out last night. Like, Gage, you mentioned it was 32% last year. Is it 21.7% right now? Is this the rest of the National Hockey League catching on to, if you take away the seam pass, they're still going to try it anyway. So we'll just knock it away and send it down the ice. Or is this a little bit just lack of finish in some of the opportunities that they're getting? Like, how can the power play be 2/3 of what it was last year?
I think they're making it more complicated than it has to be. If I always felt that for the Oilers power play, when it was successful, they did establish shooting, like Bouchard was getting the pucks through, right? Or funneling them to the net. They were getting shots right away, whether there was second chance opportunities, getting the penalty killers trying to locate loose pucks. The Oilers did a magnificent job last year of puck retrievals in the offensive zone, like stripping them. Then you get that chaos around the net, and that's where that seam play opens up. It's not there right when you go set up on the initial rush and get down into that zone. You try to get the other team moving around, get them in places that they're not supposed to be, create that chaos. Then those little plays start opening up. I just think they have to get back and start, for lack of a better term, just 5 guys outworking 4 guys. And too much this year, those 4 guys have worked harder than the Oilers 5, and just made that what was a dominating power play just completely non-existent.
It's like Red Bull taking a car that's right and trying
tearing
to make
it down.
It's kind of that same vibe there. But
and then also Connor McDavid bitching about the league.
Yeah, that too.
That's the same way. So Craig Button was on this morning and absolutely tore a strip off of Evan Bouchard. And then we were joking today, Bouchard's brilliant because from a getting ice time perspective, being on the ice and allowing goals means that you get to be out there more to try to get those goals back. So it very much works out for him. But Gage, we talked about it earlier, like McDavid yesterday. In fact, it was with the question that Spec asked that ended up with the whole Tim Peel discussion thing. They constantly say that, they're trying to win games defensively, but to me, no matter where they are on the ice, they're just thinking offense first, offense first, offense first. Like, that's just who this group is. And when Bouchard is involved in it, his offensive numbers have been great. I said it today. Two things can be true. He can be a brilliant offensive defenseman, but also one of the worst defensive defensemen in the league. And to me, until you can kind of change his mindset, that would be one of the first pieces where you can actually, if you can turn Bouchard into a guy that has some defensive awareness, I think it would go a long way overall because you want to roll him out there 21, 22 minutes a night, Gage. Or do you just have to kind of accept that he ain't that guy? Like he's gonna get like 70 points and be minus 20 this year. It makes no sense.
Yeah, you have to weigh it out at this point, Dusty. Is his defensive liabilities do they outweigh his offensive performance? And to me, I up to this point in the season, you're not going very far with Evan Bouchard. It's simple as that. There's too many times when they're not just little mistakes. They're glaring.
No, they're costing your goals, man.
And they're a lot of times. What's really frustrating is they're happening, 80 feet from your net too. That's another. It's just the what did Cass call it? The spinning top, just circling, the not stopping in front, just so. That's a lazy play to me. When a guy comes down and does two twirls, he just doesn't want to stop and get going again. That's a lazy play. That has you throwing the beers down on the ground. He's unbelievable offensively. His patience with the puck, his shot, it is generational what he can do, right? But you have to say, well, does that outweigh the liabilities that we're seeing on defense? Because it's, there was like a 2-game stretch where I thought he started figuring out, and then this whole poor decision making in crucial parts of the game started rearing its ugly head again. I think he can't play that much during the game. He has to go to some sort of specialist role.
Yeah, Button basically said, he goes, you might just have to make him a specialist where he gets offensive zone starts, he gets power play time, and you're basically hiding him defensively if you can. The problem there is that even with the offensive zone starts, Gage, you mentioned a lot of the mistakes aren't happening just around the net. It's like further up the ice, right? So, yeah, I don't know where they go with him from here. One more for you, Gager, and then, like I said, 2 guys and a goalie today. We'll have more time with Cass and myself and you to kind of take even a deeper dive in on this. But they've changed the coach. It's so early into Knobloch's tenure that don't really know what else you expect him to do at this point. The season, though, continues to slip away. Do you think a trade has to be made? Or do you just have belief in the team's decision to change the coach and think that it will eventually get the group back on track?
No, if another 10 games goes by and the record hasn't changed, there's going to be some sort of a trade, like the last gasp to light the fire. But Dusty, who do you have to talk to? You're going to have to talk to one of these players to get them to agree to the trade. And then you get into a whole nother ball of wax of this guy, well, they want to move me, right? Like, well, why do I want to stay here? Like I hate these no movement clauses and contracts because for that reason itself, you might have a guy that likes to be here, but he might be one of those expendable players that you move to make something happen with your team, and then all of a sudden now this guy knows that you've been trying to move him because they've asked you to move his no trade clause, or no movement clause. Yeah. I don't think
they're going to have to get out of this on their own, right? Like it's just
this has to. This isn't a coach thing. It's not even a GM thing at this point with the way that they're playing. I would say something because there's a lot of good players on this team. It has to be in that dressing room. They have to make a conscious decision. Someone's got to come up and say, look, we got to quit cheating the game. We cannot play on the offensive side of the puck for 55 minutes of each game and expect to win or get to where you want to be. It has to be defense first, structured play, communication, and the only people that can do that, the coaches can't. The players have to. And until that happens, Dusty, it's saddening, but I'm just hoping I watch a good hockey game at this point.
Well, we will see how it works out. We'll all be watching it tomorrow. If you want to swing by Boston Pizza, we will be at the Kingsway location, and we'll see how it goes.
I'll see you in the parking lot.
I won't jinx it like I did last time. I know you guys called me out on that, which is fair. They were up, and I was like, we'll be back after the third when the Oilers wrap this thing up. That was tough look, but what are you going to do? Gage, great breakdown, buddy. I will talk to you in about 3 hours on Two Guys and a Goalie.
Can't wait.
There you go. That's Joaquin Gage, huge F1 enthusiast and expert. Also, with really good breakdown of the Oilers. You see Hustler slide into the nasty chat there?
What?
Yeah, slides in, says McDavid requests trade to the Jets for better chance to win the cup.
Huss?
That's
you
Huss.
sneaky boy.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew Patterson.
Andrew Patterson.
Yeah. Oh, his alias. Yeah,
Using your alias.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, this guy.
Yeah,
Unbelievable, this guy. You know, I will, this is, I mean, it's hindsight 2020 or whatever now, but like on the power play, because the power play, even after they moved Barry last year, the power play was still great. But I do think the one thing that Barry did that Bouchard doesn't do as much, and I'm not sure if this is why the power play has been a little blah so far this year, but Barry seemed to be more active along the blue line. Bouchard seems to be a little stagnant up at the blue line at times. It's just, I mean, maybe it's just the way they play overall. Barry always had active feet. Like Barry always, it seemed a little hectic at times, but I think the wild cardness of Barry at the top of the power play, I think Bouchard could maybe move a bit more along that blue line to just kind of change up the angles and looks and stuff. Because it's pretty basic right now.
Would you do this? Dryan Campbell for McAvoy and Swayman.
I'm not at the point yet where I'm trading Leon Draisaitl.
Oh,
I mean,
the Paris Jewelers inbox is.
I don't think the Bruins are trading McAvoy.
Well,
it'd be ridiculous to do that. So,
but would you, if you're the Oilers or Bruins?
McAvoy would be nice.
I just think we're here now, and it's American Thanksgiving week, but we still haven't hit the actual day, and I find that just, I don't know what word you want to use there. It's spectacular, but in all the wrong ways.
Morning, gents. Is Bouchard McLeod a lottery-protected first and a third or a fourth close to acquiring Gudas and Lundell? Two players the Oilers desperately need on their roster. That comes in from the player. I thought it was a low tide text. I thought that was Tide coming.
Alan Mitchell.
Does Tide text in as the playbook?
That would be.
I would. I'd love that. We did say earlier today, like the trade may be the next way. Like if they let's say this. Let's say this. I don't think it's going to happen. But what if they don't win a game on this road trip? What if they go 0-4 on this trip?
Well, another
they
pound
got
of flesh.
Carolina and Washington left. Still.
Another pound of flesh. You'll need to do something. You need to.
Well, that's the thing.
And you're
if
right.
they go 0-4 on this
trade
trip,
for trade's sake.
What are you going to come back? You're going to fire a figurehead that's probably not even making decisions anymore in Ken Holland anyway? If you were going to fire Ken Holland, you should have done it 2 weeks ago when you allowed him to have say in the firing of Jay Woodcroft, which probably shouldn't have happened. So, I mean, if they come back, if they go 0-4 from this trip, I would think everything is on the bloody table. It has to be.
You've already lost to the Sharks.
Even if they win the next 2 games on this trip, they're still coming back only ahead of the San Jose Sharks in their division. I just don't know if you can trust the management group, however it's constructed, to make the trade that not only saves the season, but possibly the entire McDavid era. And I don't even think I'm overstating it. Like, that's how important whatever the next move is. You've already pulled out. This is why I said they shouldn't fire Woodcroft. And this is not on Knoblauch. I felt sorry for Knoblauch since he got the job. The group of players need to commit to the defensive side of the game. They haven't. They've had a long time to do it. And at this point, how can you honestly think they ever will? Because they just don't have the guys. McDavid is not he could do it. He's physically capable to do it because he's physically capable to do whatever the hell he wants in the National Hockey League. But their offensive mindset is just their entire way they view the game is just as soon as they get the puck, it's like fly the zone, go, boom, done, gone, see ya. And then, guys get in bad spots, can't do it properly, can't move the puck up the ice properly. Like but how many coaches have said, or how many coaches have had the opportunity to get them as a group to play better defensively? Like 3 had legitimate cranks at it. Now you've got Knoblauch sliding in here. And when you just continue to change these pieces out, I mean, it's on the players. It has been on the players the entire season. How does Woodcroft lose a team 13 games into the year?
But if you keep bringing in guys,
happen with good rooms, with good teams.
Inability or unwillingness. And if you keep bringing in offensive defensemen that don't fit something that you're trying to build on the blue line, I don't know how you can coach them to be better defensively if they're always offensive defensemen, right? So is it the building? Is it the players unwilling to change? I don't think we've answered any of these questions this morning, but it is a collection of all of it. It's roster makeup, putting guys on a team and putting them in positions that they can't succeed in. It's one thing to have a specialist, but if you have a specialist on a good group of stout defensive blue liners, well, that's great. I said to Tom yesterday, if you go get your car fixed, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not really a mechanic. I'm more of a dental. I do dental work on the side. That's kind of my specialty." And then I come here and I pretend to do a job. I mean, you want somebody doing those jobs. And I think somebody also texted in as well. You can go up and down the blue line and say all these guys are in slots they shouldn't be in. Roster makeup, but also an unwillingness of some of the players, because it's been multiple coaches, as you mentioned, but there have been multiple players that have come through here too on the blue line. And it's just not your square pieces, round holes, that type of thing. And it's
you
just not
should be able to coach professional athletes to play defensive hockey. You can't coach naturally gifted offensive genius. That's just going to come naturally, some of these guys. But you should be able to coach a team to limit chances defensively.
But if defense was never in their DNA to begin with as a top 1, 2, or 3 point,
like
it's a useless venture. You're not going to get to where you need to.
Aspect of got to get forwards, got to push, got to score. It was completely summarized this offseason when they had basically no room. They constructed this contract with Connor Brown to make it work. But you're watching the Oilers last year as a management group, and you think, man, what do we need? Now, if we have very limited resources, we should probably pump it into a forward group. What are you doing? Like, how can you look at the team and be like, I got to get another forward in here? This is not a shot at Brown, who clearly is trying to get up to speed. And maybe the production will come at some point. But the team, who cares if the production comes? It's the other end of the ice that's an issue. It's always been an issue, and they've done nothing to address it over the last 18 months. Well, that's not true. They brought in Ekholm. Imagine how bad. Remember how bad this blue line was before they got Ekholm? My God. And now even with Ekholm, it's not very good.
Hasn't been lighting it up.
So they're trying to do, but that's a great example. I guess I've just talked myself into another point here. They've brought in Ekholm to improve things defensively. He hasn't been great this year, but he's made that blue line better. But it's the entire mindset of the group where it's like, okay, well, we got the puck. Well, there's a guy way up near the blue line. I'm going to try to fire a pass all the way up to him, as opposed to, here's an idea. Be responsible and smart with the puck so you don't turn it over inside your own blue line and it ends up in the back of the net and everybody just piles on the goaltenders because they didn't make a spectacular save.
Not only is Bouchard terrible defensively, he's so bad that Bouchard actually makes Ekholm worse. He puts Ekholm in so many bad situations, he actually looks much worse. That text flies in as well.
That's something.
It's the company you keep.
That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
Let's get into the wrap for William Huff. Hey, Maddie, who's on the hangout today? Nothing. Sean Bell, Tommy, and Maddie, if Tommy gets here. Is Bellsy rolling in 25 minutes late too? Because he's usually coaching stuff. Okay.
I want a solo for the first half hour.
And Tommy Gazzola has 7 minutes until work starts. We might cut to a shot of just Matt sitting in there on the hangout.
It's the episode we've all been waiting for. Well, he's got a draft to preview maybe. Hey, a quick, we got a draft.
Well, we do have a draft this week.
I didn't want to.
And Friday is going to be an all-timer here.
No hockey tonight, right?
No hockey tonight. Tomorrow we got the Oilers. We'll be at Boston Pizza. You can join us, Kingsway Boston Pizza. Come on by. It's going to be a good time. Fun boys.
A little happy hour,
because
nice.
the game, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Tommy's going to be doing pregame at 3:30. Puck drops, at 5?
Yep.
So right from work, you can come join us. And then Tommy stick around for the postgame after. And it should be great. And you can still be home by 9 o'clock.
Yep.
So it'll be a nice little night. So make sure to make plans to join us at Kingsway. And then on Friday, we are doing our show, followed by the Saturday Night Live draft, followed by the lock shop, straight into pregame. And then during the game, we're going to have the camera set up and we're going to be doing like a live watch along with us. We're just going to be sitting here on the couches, probably crushing some 6 o'clock or loggers, watching the game. So it should be a real nice Friday.
Maybe some munchies
real nice
too,
Friday.
eh? A couple of
it'd be a good time.
Yeah. I wonder what we're eating.
Maybe we got to order in something.
Got some pies, maybe.
Some Popeyes, maybe from Popeyes.
Popeyes
Louisiana
too.
Kitchen.
Yeah, hey.
Right from Popeyes studio, right here.
Give me the mashed potatoes.
We got this magical door right here. I want this to be a guy where I just go, hey, Popeyes, I'll take a couple of chicken sandwiches, and they just pass them out. That'd be amazing.
I love that door in that room. That's going to become something.
This is going to definitely be a bit on the show where we can cut to the wide shot, and we open up the door, and we're just like, oh, look who's here. Like,
guests. Yeah. The green room.
All right, into the wrap for William Huff. If you want your place to look as good as ours. I think I saw Bruce at the Spirit of Edmonton breakfast. I wasn't at the Spirit of Edmonton breakfast, but I saw a video. I think I saw Bruce piling bacon onto his plate. Just a real nice portion of bacon. It was real nice. Well, how do you not? Like
that guy, I like that guy right there. That guy, yeah.
A lot of the media was at that the Hall of Fame, Media Hall of Fame breakfast.
Yeah.
On Grey Cup Sunday morning. So we go through the line. It's this great buffet breakfast. My question for you, we shouldn't do this at the end of the show because we do a whole show on this. But when you go through a buffet breakfast line, and you know, like you're with workers and stuff, it's not like you're with your buddies. How many pieces of bacon should you take in that situation?
You can't be shy in a buffet line. I don't care who's behind you or in front of you.
6 pieces?
Friends,
6
workers,
pieces of
I don't
bacon?
care. Sure. Well, if it's a good buffet, there'll be bacon. What are you scared you're going to be not leaving any for the rest?
Well, that's the thing. They're going to have, there's that fly.
I know. It's pissing me off.
We got one little fly here that just keeps bothering us.
We're going to pin the carcass up on the wall as a message.
So anyway, how many pieces of bacon would you take in that situation?
There's no
I
limit.
went with 6. That's quite a bit.
Were they the thin little
No, they're really good.
Yeah.
In fact, in the end, it was too much.
If it's good
I didn't even
bacon,
want the last
you
piece
don't
of
need
bacon,
it.
but I was like,
Yeah.
well, I can't take 6 and not eat 6 pieces of bacon. So Filthy says 7 to 10. Wow. It seems like a lot of bacon, especially when there's lots of other options. Like I got the scrambled eggs on there. I got some sausage on there.
Sausage, yeah.
I got
the little breakfast sausages.
No, the round breakfast sausages.
Oh,
Round ones,
okay.
Which is usually
Interesting.
rare for a buffet situation. And then I had some of the little hash brown potatoes, obviously. So
that's a good breakfast right there.
Big Maple Sports Car says
Yeah, you're
12. Sailor says all of the bacon. I don't know, man. I feel like 6 is probably nice in a situation like that. All right, what'd you learn on the show today, buddy?
Matt Canada. The rule of Matt Canada is done in Pittsburgh. As I've always said, I, for some reason, follow a lot of Steelers fans on Twitter. I don't know, must have been one of those weekend nights where you kind of get into one, but the suffering is over for the Pittsburgh Steelers and their fans. They're sitting at 6-4. That's third in the AFC North. And after that loss to the Browns, which led Cleveland to 7-3, the Matt Canada era over in Pittsburgh. He will no longer be calling the plays. So,
did you know that the Cleveland Browns have the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs, but have scored more points this year? How weird is that?
I think it rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah, that's a hilarious Deshaun Watson massage joke.
Yeah, they're going to keep going.
Well done. Well done. What did I learn on the show today? Let's see here.
Well, you're back. I like learning all the great Cup stories. Yeah, it was
also
nice.
learned I got a text from Tommy. Says, be right there. Coming in
It's coming in hot. Yeah.
Coming in hot today. Usually when Tommy's coming in hot, there's a cool story from the night before. Yeah, so I can't wait till after the hangout today. I get the bottom, the dirty details on why Tommy Gazzola was late today. So that's going to be a new show. EST After Dark, 9:30 to 10 o'clock. The Dirty Details with Tom Gazzola. I could see that. I could see that happening. Guys, the Oilers have been found dead in an alley behind Royal Pizza. Royal Pizza, that's a company that I want to get sponsored the show because I love Royal Pizza.
Well, RP Bill or whatever.
Yeah, Royal Pizza Bill.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be great. All right, let's get to your sound of the day today. Oh boy, where do we go with the sound of the day today, man?
Well, it is Tombstone Tuesday. I'd say anything out of the Tombstone catalog would be.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sure we have a few.
That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
That's the only one I got loaded into the system just yet. I could bring up the YouTube. Let me see. We can do whatever we want here, I guess. Hey, let me just see here quickly. I'm going to bring up. I was watching. I wonder if it's still sitting here. It doesn't even most recent. Yeah, here we are. 11 minutes of Oh, no, this is... Let's see here. Oh, this is so good.
Well,
This is Ringo.
I didn't think you had it in you. I'm your huckleberry.
My fight's not with you, Longer.
Why, Johnny Ringo. You look like somebody just walked over your grave. Fight's not with you, Holiday. I beg to differ, sir. We started a game we never got to finish. Play for blood, remember? I was just fooling about. I wasn't.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? How about the drama on that? I was just fooling about.
It feels like the movie
I wasn't.
is made for like a radio play. Hey,
Yeah.
you don't even need to watch Tombstone. I could listen to it. Wouldn't that
One
be something?
day
eh?
we
Just
will
the-
fully just on our
play
live
the whole
stream,
movie, yeah.
audio only, tonight from 9 to midnight. Maddie, would we be allowed to do that? Could we play like the entire Tombstone movie on just our audio
It's just
stream
a movie.
from like 10 to
movie
midnight?
night on EST.
Nobody's going to catch us.
Probably likely not on the audio.
Well, because why wouldn't we be able to? Really? I mean,
Yeah, but
to play a movie, the audio of it, that doesn't seem. I bet you we could play it.
I don't think like YouTube has that algorithm I could catch up.
On YouTube, we couldn't do it, but on the audio stream.
I think that it would be hard.
Tonight, every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, the audio from the movie Tombstone plays at edmontonsportstalk.com.
Yeah. It's a
People just know.
wink, wink. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
I'd listen to it, man.
I'd listen every Tuesday. Yeah.
That'd be fun. I think we might do that. All right, text of the day today. Any text jump off? It's mostly just been a bunch of people who are like super angry about the hockey team.
Yeah, and that's
as opposed
but
to like hilarious text.
you see any trade proposals out there that are really getting you?
Oh, here, let's go with this one from. I'll bring this back up again. Tim Peel when Speck slides into his DMs.
That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
That entire conversation would have just been them going back and forth. Congratulations to Chris. He has won text of the day today. A gift certificate to A&W, $20 to A&W. And get that gift card, swing on by, pick it up, and get yourself some breakfast, some lunch, or, of course, some delicious, delicious dinner. Get your hands on those chicken cruncher sandwiches.
Best onion rings in the game.
I don't even think that's debatable.
Hands down.
That's like the least hottest of takes you've
There's
ever
no
had.
challenge. Well, no, but I'm just saying this needs to be. We always forget burgers, fries, the whole
Yeah.
bit. Best onion rings.
All right, what are you watching tonight, buddy?
No hockey.
No NHL tonight.
Somebody said maybe they take a backseat to the MAC-tion going on. I don't know what the MAC schedule is tonight.
Somebody
but,
sent in Jeff Merrick tweet on why there's no games tonight.
Yeah, here it is. MAC football. Bowling Green, Western Michigan. I mean, take your pick here, Dusty. Eastern Michigan, Buffalo. You got thrilling matchups tonight in the MAC. In-season tournament play as well. 5 games. Your Lakers hitting the court.
Yeah, I'll be watching that for sure.
Raptors and
Got
Magic.
it on that parlay, right?
Sure.
Canadian men's soccer. There he is. Tommy Gazzola's here. Now we can stop stretching into the hangout time. He's ready to roll. You good to go? That's why it's 9:02. We're still going. We're like, is Tommy here? Is he ready? Like, let's do this.
That cut
Here's why there's no games in the NHL tonight from Jeff Merrick. There are only 3 teams/buildings available to host games tonight. Vancouver, Calgary, and Arizona. Canadian teams get sent to the U.S. this week for Thanksgiving/Black Friday games. And the Arizona Coyotes did not want to play back-to-back games on Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's why there's no games in the National Hockey League tonight.
Why Thursday then?
I don't know, Tommy.
Well,
it's a great question. It's a great question. Tommy said, why Thursday?
Well, it's Thanksgiving Day.
Got to play on that day.
In an American sport like hockey, you got to take the day.
All right, the hangout is coming up. Belzy's going to be in here with Tommy Gazzola and Matt Owanek, who I think did he get a haircut yesterday? Or did he get a haircut last
Iwanek?
week? He's got a haircut
Was it
since last time
yesterday?
I saw him.
Yeah, yesterday
It was
confirmed.
yesterday, Trev.
YouTube
yeah.
Trev's got
Good looking haircut, man. You see that on the hangout today for YouTube. Trev, solid work today, buddy. 10 stars, my man.
Yeah, thanks, boys. I was a little quiet, but there was a lot of stuff I had to do.
Yeah,
behind
well,
the scenes,
you nailed it, though.
But yeah,
So
it went
it's,
pretty good. Pretty happy.
All
with
in
how
all,
it
it was
went.
a good day. It was a good day. Hangout's coming up. I'll be back with the Lock Shop. Talk Huss through a real tough weekend, both the Chiefs and the Bombers losing. We set up all that hockey tonight. Big, nice, huge Tuesday slate is what it should be.
Action.
Instead, we have nothing. So lots to get to on the Lock Shop, though. And then 2 guys in the goalie live right here at Edmonton Sports Talk. If you're listening on TuneIn, don't go anywhere. We've got the Hangout coming up right away. Nielson Show will be back bright and early tomorrow morning, getting you set for a busy Wednesday that will eventually lead us to Boston Pizza for a pre- and post-game at the Kingsway Boston Pizza. Make plans to join us on Wednesday. Should be a real good time. For YouTube, Trev, Lieutenant Eric, I am Dustin Nielson. If you're on YouTube, stick around. Autoplay will take you right over to Hangout. Tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk. We will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day and take it easy.